Assuming everything that's happening today escalates, in about 50 years, they'll look back and claim that everything we're experiencing right now was a part of the Civil War, which clearly started long before today, based on our perspective, our historical reference. If everything calms down right now, they'll say there was never a Civil War and everything was just kind of crazy for that one short period. So it's hard to know exactly what we're looking at. But Senator Tom Cotton has said, well, he's likened what's going on to Fort Sumter. And I want to look at Fort Sumter and talk about what's happening. It's going beyond so I've talked a bit about this throughout the day on my channels. We've got the state of Oregon rejecting federal authority. The feds are in the courthouse. According to a Bellingcat reporter, the insurrectionists have breached the courthouse at one point, I guess, and actually attacked them inside. That's what he said.
Wow.
And if that's the case, and the state is still supporting it, they are supporting insurrection against the feds and telling the feds to leave. When they say to the feds, leave, they are saying, you have no authority here. Man, that really is reminiscent of Fort Sumter. For those who are not familiar, that's how the Civil War started. The Union had Fort Sumter. The South said, get out. They said no. Bang. Shot heard around the world.
Not just bang. It was like
34
boom, boom, boom,
hours
boom, boom.
of
cannon fire.
Yeah.
Bombardment. Yep. Yeah.
Well, that was the first battle,
hefty.
I guess. So we'll take a look at this. And then we've got some other stuff to just go over in general. I mean, it's going beyond just this state. Apparently, the district attorney in Philadelphia has threatened criminal charges against any federal agent who attempts to arrest one of these insurrectionists. We're here, dude.
Yep, it's happening right now.
Listen, I opened this specifically mentioning how in 50 years, if this escalates to a hot war with guns, they'll say that whatever we're in right now literally was part of it.
Yep.
It could stop. But when you have the DA in Philadelphia say, if the feds come here, and here's exactly what he said, unlawfully kidnap.
Unlawfully kidnap?
They'll face criminal charges.
Wow.
The feds have the authority to detain for questioning just like any other cop. They're just a different branch of the government, the federal government.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if one of the states told the Fed, if the DEA enters our state and tries to enforce drug laws, we will send our law enforcement against them to shut them down and arrest them and charge them and lock them up?
It's nuts.
This is the states. Now, not just Oregon. We're seeing Illinois. We're seeing elements are emerging, telling the Fed, we have authority over you.
It's like they want their cities to burn. This is the trap, though. This is the trap that we've been talking about ever since Chaz. When Chaz was a thing, we were saying, like, they want Trump to send in the troops so they can be like, aha, see, he's an authoritarian. Like, how long ago was that? A month? 2 months now?
That's what's
happening.
Look, man, there's no narrative.
Yeah.
You know, we often used to talk about the narrative, but now you've got Trump is a fascist who's occupying our cities.
Right.
You've got Trump is so desperate because his poll numbers are failing that he's trying to make it look like he's doing something. Which is it? Is he a fascist or is he flailing?
Right.
For real.
Well, they don't care as long as they're getting people emotionally whipped up and believing what they're saying. I had someone hit me up today they were like trying to be like, how dare you say that these people aren't peaceful? You know, the feds are occupying and attacking people. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, I've been watching their actual videos of them recording them rip into the courthouse.
Yep.
Like, how can you not tell me that they're peaceful? Sorry, no, that's not how it works. Whoa. I'm not here to argue with you, okay? I'm just trying to tell you the way things are. It's like, oh, okay, bye-bye. If you only want to see your side of it, I'm good. I'm done.
We got a lot to go through here.
Wasting my breath.
But we're also going to drag Mr. Obama. You see, I love America, Adam. Do you know why I love America?
I can tell you why I love America, but why don't you tell me why you love America?
It's called the First Amendment.
Love that First Amendment.
We're going to drag Obama because he signed into law the National Defense Authorization Act indefinite detention provision.
Yep.
And now all of these people who are trying to get Joe Biden in are complaining about Trump. You want to bring back the Biden-Obama administration? Yes, I did that on purpose. You want to bring back those guys? You want to give the power back to Biden? Well, he was the vice president when Barack Obama was like, America, I should be able to rendition any American citizen.
Whoa. No. Not any American citizen.
Anyone in the world.
Anyone worldwide.
Right.
Continue. Go on, please.
It's the duty. That's the joke about Obama.
Right.
So Obama thought that he, I got to give it to Congress too. They added this stuff. He signed it into law. So, buck stops with him. And now the indefinite detention provision, federal authorities can rendition you.
Yep.
You'll be sleeping in your bed. You'll wake up in an offshore oil rig being smacked up by federal agents.
Yep.
And you can thank Obama for that.
And that's
Obama.
And that's legal. So now, now they're
no. Hold on.
Okay, go ahead.
Just because they say it's legal doesn't mean it's legal. You know what I mean?
True. You're absolutely right.
Barack Obama killed a bunch of Americans.
Yep.
None of it was legal. Barack Obama literally murdered American people. Like, I'm not exaggerating. He ordered a drone strike which killed a 16-year-old American citizen, Abdul Rahman al-Awlaki. Now, you want to argue that it was an accident, because that's apparently what they've claimed. Okay, we'll give him manslaughter. How about that? Slap the cuffs on him, manslaughter, bring him in.
Right.
No, it'll never happen. Of course it won't.
Of course not.
But Anwar al-Awlaki, I believe that was targeted, killing an American citizen on foreign soil. So, yeah, let's talk about this. See, look, I don't care at this point to go Obama, because it's long since passed. We're in the Trump era now. But the issue is Joe Biden is running for president.
Yep.
If you want to argue Joe Biden is the right guy for the job, and you're concerned about Trump's goons, Gestapo kidnapping people, okay, well, certainly don't give the reins to Joe Biden,
right,
who was part of the administration that created the indefinite detention provisions.
Well, not to mention his many issues of racism, racist remarks, and bills that definitely hurt minorities, and I'm we'll leave it at that. Like,
Joe Biden is crooked.
I agree.
He's crooked.
I see it. Like,
well,
look at his son.
So what are we supposed to expect right now? So first of all, wow, we're getting. Let's just start. Let's start from the beginning.
Spiraling. Yeah, go ahead.
Ladies and gentlemen, there is one very, very important thing you must do, Adam.
You must smash the like button. Yes, I have not given it
my very calm.
my full. I'm not there anymore. I am. The more I am just thinking logically and talking and working out my what's happening. I'm not that person that I was when I first told y'all to smash the like button. You know what I mean? I don't know.
It's more reserved.
It doesn't feel right. Next I'm gonna be wearing a suit.
No. You're gonna cut your hair.
Hello everyone. No.
MAGA hat.
Maybe. I don't know. No, I love my hair.
A red tie.
No, honestly, it's more just I don't care. I don't care.
All right, well,
about
check it
my
out.
hair.
We're gonna start from the beginning, and we're gonna talk about all this stuff, and we're gonna get into it. We're gonna talk about history. We're gonna talk about the latest development. Well, it's not necessarily the latest development, but the district attorney saying they'll charge any Fed who tries to kidnap, or they can arrest people, but sure. We're gonna go through all this. So make sure you do smash that like button if you haven't. Subscribe. Hit that notification bell to make sure you can get the show Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. live. Let's jump into it. We got Mr. Tom Cotton. He doubles down on NYT op-ed. Insurrectionists cannot be allowed to destroy federal property. The Arkansas Republican senator says the federal government has a duty to protect its facilities and people from insurrectionists. Now, here's the most interesting part. In an interview on Fox and Friends, Cotton pointed out that the insurrectionists in the streets of Portland, Oregon are little different from the insurrectionists who seceded from the Union in 1861 in South Carolina and tried to take over Fort Sumter. And just like President Lincoln wouldn't stand for that, the federal government today cannot stand for the vandalism, the firebombing, or any attack on federal property. It is right to send federal law enforcement to defend federal property and federal facilities. While clashes with police in Portland are an extreme case, the government has a responsibility to defend its installations and property, Cotton says. The people expect it and the Constitution calls for it. Yet, where are we? We have the claim that let me pull it right up. Trump's occupation of American cities. Protesters are being snatched from the streets without warrants. Can we call it fascism yet?
Can we talk about
All
that
right.
Obama bill again?
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I'm down. Yes, absolutely. Fascism. Wow. Can you imagine what George W. Bush and Obama did to this country?
I can. Well, I mean, I've seen it. I've learned more about it, and it's insane.
But I'll tell you what. With everything they're saying, there is a huge difference between a group of dudes wearing all black, pulling up an SUV randomly to the middle, in the middle of the street in Brooklyn, and there's some old lady and they throw a black bag over her head, throw her in the car and drive off, never to be seen again.
Right.
And for 54 days, far leftists have been throwing commercial grade fireworks at a building.
Yep.
And when the feds come out to make some arrests, they scream and cry, help, help, I'm being repressed. So if you have, I love this. There's like a meme going around. Someone wrote an article that says unidentified federal agents, arresting people in Portland.
Yeah.
And the photo they use literally shows a guy with his unit number and his unit,
right.
Border Patrol, his name, and it says like NZ39. And it's like, what do you mean unidentified? Like he's got his patch and everything on him.
Yeah, in the picture that they
lies,
used.
dude. All lies.
I know. I see it.
It's, it's scary, man. You're talking about, people saying they're being peaceful and stuff like that. And you're like arguing. I don't think it matters. I think we're well beyond this. We're months away.
You're right.
You know what's going to happen come election time? There's going to be fights in the middle of the streets.
Yep.
Who's going to get, look, the left has already said right-wing goon squads are going to be like armed in front of polling stations to suppress the vote. And the left will do the same thing. And I don't know, man.
Well, what is that? It's that saying, blame your enemies, what you do yourself, so that when it all comes out, that they think that the enemy was doing it.
Yeah, I don't know. It sounds like a Alinsky tactic.
But I know that's what it feels like the Democrats are doing. They're the only ones that have been talking about all this stuff, and now Trump finally started saying something about it. And
he's saying
it's been going on actually since 2016. Now that I'm really looking into it all, because he wasn't supposed to win. They probably were fighting back then to make it happen in their favor.
Yeah, I wonder about Russiagate. If there's one thing that Russiagate did was make sure Trump couldn't purge the intelligence agencies and fire everybody.
It's a good point.
Yeah, because they called it obstruction of justice.
Right.
So I wonder if that was just them being like, you can't arrest me. So now if they can get Trump out of office before he can do any damage to them,
to the establishment,
right? Then they'll try and salvage whatever weird tendrils they have in the system. But if Trump wins, he wins. This is it. So this is the first cycle for Trump was them being like, we'll do everything to stop him. When he lost, they were like, okay, now we need to stall him. Now they need to crush him.
Now they need to destroy him.
I'll tell you, man.
That's true. That's what I'm seeing.
It is the most annoying thing in the world to me. How many times my friends will post a picture and of a Fed firing a pepper ball.
Right.
And then I'll be like, do you know the context of that photograph?
Right.
Yeah, the Feds were snatching. Oh, whoa. Did you watch the video? No. Did you watch any of the videos? No. You read a paragraph that said unidentified. Yep. So what do you do?
That's what I keep seeing.
It's so insane because listen, man, to everybody watching right now, man, we're preaching to the choir. That's the challenge. We're preaching to the choir. Of course, you guys are watching this. You saw the title, and you are open-minded to be like, this is an interesting topic. Let's hear what's going on.
Yeah.
But these other people are just reading the New York Times, and look what the New York Times says. Trump's occupation of American cities. Whoa, hold on. The Department of Homeland Security, you can criticize it all you want. It was created by George W. Bush following 9/11. Okay, absolutely. But the feds have authority to protect their own buildings.
That's correct.
This is insane to call it an occupation.
Yeah, and listening to his speech the other day, he was saying we are at the disposal of all these places. All they have to do is ask us, and we'll come help them. Ask us. He's reaching out to Mayor Lightfoot, we'll come help you.
But
they're like, no, we're good. We want our cities to burn down.
No, but this is different. This is him saying our federal courthouses will be protected.
Right.
They're ours. It's our jurisdiction, not yours. And they're saying, no, get out. And they're calling it an occupation.
It's crazy.
For federal law enforcement, listen, every day in this country, there are federal courthouses with federal law enforcement inside them.
Yeah.
And federal judges.
Yep.
And now they're telling Trump to remove these from their state. They're suing to do it. Fort Sumter, baby. Let me show you this from Philly first, and then we'll talk about the first Civil War. This is from BillyPenn.com. Philly rebuffs Trump's threat to send in feds over protests. The president suggested he wanted to see what's happening in Portland spread to other U.S. cities. Is that how they frame it?
Wow.
As if Trump wants the violence? No, that's insane. So there's a couple things. First, let me show you this. They say Mayor Jim Kenney's administration confirmed it would oppose federal intervention, as did District Attorney Larry Krasner. That the White House seeks to impose federal involvement in this way after months of abrogating its responsibility to lead a federal response to COVID-19 is both ironic and offensive, Kenney said in a statement. Philadelphia has not received any formal notice that federal agents are en route. The mayor said, adding that his administration would use all available means to resist such a wrong-headed effort and abuse of power. It is not an abuse of power for the feds to be like, we're going to go to our courthouses. But here's the escalation at the bottom. So let me see if I can find it. In a statement, District Attorney Larry Krasner indicated he would seek criminal charges against any federal agent who, quote, unlawfully assaults and kidnaps people in Philadelphia.
Oh, well, then we're good. Because Obama made that law that lets him do exactly that.
And we can complain about that law. But here's the issue. Even outside of the NDAA's indefinite detention provision, a federal agent has the right to arrest someone when they have jurisdiction. If someone attacks a federal courthouse, the feds can make the arrest. In Portland, they're calling it kidnapping because a guy got detained for questioning.
For 90 minutes and
they
then
have
was released.
A right to do that.
Agreed.
They have a right to do this.
Yep.
Now, I'm not a fan.
Well, they're changing all the rules for themselves.
But listen, when a cop, look, cops can detain you in general. My understanding is like 45 minutes. Mm-hmm. So we can argue that, whatever. It was too long. They say undisclosed location. What are you talking about? They brought him to the courthouse. It's their jurisdiction. They brought him in the courthouse. The dude even said they brought him in the courthouse.
Right.
If they're going to call that kidnapping, then what do you think he's saying right here, this district attorney? He's saying he's going to seek criminal charges to any of these federal law enforcement that try to actually stop the far left. I am telling you, when you have far left insurgents breaching the doors of a courthouse and the state of Oregon says we're suing you to force you to leave, if they retreat, the far left burns the building down, destroys documents.
Yep.
A bunch of criminals will get released because their court cases will be dropped because administrative error and all this other crazy nonsense.
And not to mention all the evidence that was in the Portland police station that was burnt down. Also is gone.
Yep.
So it's already kind of happening.
Part of what they want to do.
Yeah, they're setting it up already.
So in Portland, it's not direct support. It's indirect support. These people are not being indicted. They're not being charged. They're not being arrested. And if the feds try, what happens? Philly says they'll arrest you. So what is it? What do you call that? I'm sorry, man. That's state sponsorship of domestic terror.
I agree.
When you have far leftists who will... now, we haven't seen anything in Philly. Okay, as far as I know, no one's attacking a federal courthouse. So I'm just saying we're getting dangerously close to this position. In Oregon, they're suing the government in defense of the insurrectionists. That's indirect support, man.
Definitely it is.
They've pulled the police back. They're letting them do their thing. Thousands of people have showed up. And there you go. A lot of people keep saying this. I've got to do this. I know I've done this. This is the third time today. If you watch all my content, you're probably like, Tim, I heard this. But for a lot of people who don't know the context, I've got to show this article from Bellingcat, and I got to read you this paragraph. The edge of all-out war. On July 4th, Portland's 39th consecutive night of protests, more than 1,000 people assembled in front of the Justice Center and Federal Courthouse downtown. They began launching dozens of commercial-grade fireworks into the concrete facades of both buildings, prompting a response from the police and federal agents inside both buildings. What followed resembled nothing so much as a medieval siege. He goes on to mention that the police were firing through murder holes, which is a funny way to describe holes, at the rioters. The whole situation prompted the first major federal response to Portland's nightly protests. It started with the media. I highlight that because they keep trying to claim the Fed started this. As you can see here, at least from Bellingcat's reporting, not the case. Portland police were involved in going, in these riots and enforcement, and eventually gave up. There was a rioter who was arrested for arson. Charges dropped. So when people try and claim that Trump's occupying these places, no, Trump responded to the violence.
Yep.
So now he's deploying...
And protecting the federal buildings. Nothing else. People keep this whole narrative of they're like running through the streets, just snatching people up. It's like, okay, well, I know one story, one time where they did that they snatched one person up. And then I read the story, and they released him 90 minutes later.
There are two videos. That's it.
Two videos. Okay.
Two videos that I've seen of protesters being detained.
Right.
And they're like, with no records. It's like, well, they weren't arrested. Why would there be records?
Right.
They didn't charge them. They questioned them. And they're allowed to do it, whether you like it or not. Mm-hmm. Okay, these are the rules everyone's playing by. But people keep trying to claim that, Trump is doing this. But now Trump is deploying federal agents to some other cities. I think Chicago right now, 150. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Because we've already seen the riots spread across the country in response to George Floyd. This is something totally different now.
Yeah.
With the actions in Portland, a couple thousand people ended up showing up. And then everyone's like, Trump sure regrets, firing tear gas at moms now that all these people are here. No, I'm sure he doesn't. They're going to enforce the law, whether Trump's not giving him a play-by-play.
Right.
He's probably like, take care of it to the Secretary, Wolf. But when these videos go viral, the likelihood that people in other cities start going to federal courthouses to vandalize and attack goes up exponentially. So Trump says we better send them out now before people start doing this. And it makes sense.
Yep.
If feds are going inside their own courthouses, then how could you blame him for that? That's insane. They want to assert that the federal government has no authority in their states. Now, hey man, I like the idea of curtailing the excessive federal government power, but this is a bit extreme, don't you think? Federal courthouses exist for a reason.
Yep.
Well, we're getting dangerously close, if not already moving beyond the Battle of Fort Sumter. I bring you now to Wikipedia. A very simple, short explanation of the Battle of Fort Sumter. This is just talking about, the Civil War. They say on March 4th, 1861, Abraham Lincoln was sworn in as president. In his inaugural address, he argued the Constitution was that the Constitution was a more perfect union than the earlier Articles of Confederation. Yada, yada. He talked about all this great stuff. The South sent delegations to Washington and offered to pay for federal properties and entered into a peace treaty with the U.S. This is after this, I believe 7 states seceded. I don't want to read through the whole thing, though. But 7 states, whatever. Let's talk about Fort Sumter specifically. I'm not here to do a Civil War history lesson, just this particular point.
Right.
They say Fort Sumter is located in the middle of the harbor of Charleston, South Carolina. Its garrison had recently moved there to avoid incidents with local militias in the streets of the city. Lincoln told its commander, Major Anderson, to hold on until fired upon. Confederate President Jefferson Davis ordered the surrender of the fort. Anderson gave a conditional reply that the Confederate government rejected, and Davis ordered General P.G.T. Beauregard to attack the fort before a relief expedition could arrive. He bombarded Fort Sumter on April 12th through 13th, forcing its capitulation. The attack on Fort Sumter rallied the North to the defense of American nationalism. Interesting. Historian Alan Nevins underscored the significance of the event. The thunderclap of Sumter produced a startling crystallization of Northern sentiment. Anger swept the land. From every side came news of mass meetings, speeches, resolutions, tenders of business support, the muster of companies and regiments, the determined action of governors and legislature. Union leaders incorrectly assumed that only a minority of Southerners were in favor of secession, and that there were large numbers of Southern Unionists that could be counted on. Had Northerners realized that most Southerners favored secession, they might have hesitated at attempting the enormous task of conquering a united South. Lincoln called on all the states to send forces to recapture the fort and other federal properties. The scale of the rebellion appeared to be small, so he called for only 75,000 volunteers for 90 days. The governor of Massachusetts had state regiments on trains headed south the next day. In western Missouri, local secessionists seized Liberty Arsenal. On May 3rd, 1861, Lincoln called for an additional 42,000 volunteers for a period of 3 years. 4 states in the middle of the Upper South had repeatedly rejected Confederate overtures, but now Virginia, Tennessee, Arkansas, and North Carolina refused to send forces against their neighbors, declared their secession, and joined the Confederacy. To reward Virginia, the Confederate capital was moved to Richmond. A lot of people don't know this, that the original secession wasn't the entirety of the Confederacy. It was only after Lincoln was like, I'm taking Fort Sumter against their will, that everyone else was like, dude, this is nuts.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, there it is right there. Wikipedia's on. Virginia, Tennessee, Arkansas, North Carolina were like, we're not going to do this. We're out. We're joining them because this is getting nuts. I mean, from a practical standpoint, their argument was based on, you can't come into our state when we've seceded from the Union and then take this fort.
Sounds familiar.
Well, the thing about so right now, Trump is saying the Union, whatever we end up calling it, has a right to, enforce the laws of the United States of America. We are a united country. For these individual states to be saying no, I don't know what it's going to look like. It's not going to look like the North versus the South. But what happens when Illinois, Pennsylvania, Georgia, Oregon, Washington, California form a coalition? What happens when they form the National Popular Vote Coalition? A bunch of states that are all left-leaning that demand the vote goes to the popular vote winner. What happens if come November, Trump wins a narrow electoral college victory somehow, Joe Biden wins the popular vote, and the coalition of states in the popular vote side reject federal authority outright and say, bye-bye. And then Trump says, we coming in. We're going to shut you down.
I don't know. It sounds viable, though. It sounds like that could happen.
Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But what I will point out, there's a few interesting things. In this article, when they mention Alan Nevins, the historian, he talks about anger sweeping the land. From every side came news of mass meetings, speeches, resolutions, tenders of business support, the muster of companies and regiments, the determined action of governors and legislatures. Except all that is happening for the left, not the right. Yeah. The right is doing nothing. They're listen, right now, it's the federal government fighting civilians and state governments.
No, I keep saying this. It's like the people on the right they've got lives. They're working on their properties. They're doing jobs.
Sure, but at a certain point, man.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, okay, but we can't discount that whole the majority of Americans that aren't standing out in Portland. They had 2,000 people. Okay, 2,000 people that are out there.
And you have someone made a meme photo of like the culture war belligerents, and it was all of the brands and government agencies of the left. Mm-hmm. The right had like nothing. How many companies have overtly come out and said no to intersectionalism? Red
Bull, yeah.
There you go.
But it's the start. I mean, Goya. I mean, we are.
That's true.
We're seeing. There's a shift that's happening right now where people are like, you know what, we have had enough. We are over this. Like we are realizing. Maybe they're watching you. Maybe they're hearing you say the enough is enough. You know. But I mean, we're seeing it. I'm certainly seeing it. You know, more and more people are starting to stand up and be like, this is ridiculous. Defend the police. You know, we gotta stand up. I tweeted that somebody I met at a Black Lives Matter protest in 2014 is now 100% Trump train. Yep.
Posting memes, posting all this Trump Jr. stuff. And when I tweeted about it, the left just refuses to accept it.
Right, of course.
That could be their downfall. And that's the other point I want to bring up right here. They say that had Northerners realized that most Southerners had favored secession, they might have hesitated at attempting the enormous task of conquering the United South. It could be that these far leftists, had they known just how large the silent majority was, they would have been reticent to actually try and stage this kind of insurrection against a united anti-SJW front.
Yeah.
But maybe not. I mean, the North won in that regard, you know? The Democrats lost last time. Maybe they'll lose again. You know, there's perennial losers. The Republicans will keep winning all the civil conflict.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even just Republicans. I mean, I was talking to a friend of mine today, and he was like talking about the Democrats, and he was saying we as in like him and the Democrats, and I'm like, what, you think that I'm a Republican now just because I'm voting Trump? Like, it's like, I don't agree with all the things that they're talking about. I don't agree with all the things the Democrats are talking about. There is such thing as being in the middle and looking at both sides critically, thinking about it, talking about what each side is doing. And if I'm going to choose between Biden and Trump, I'm absolutely going to vote Trump, period.
Take a look at this article.
That's it.
There you go.
Democrats are replacing Republicans as the preferred party of the very wealthy.
So when your friend, this is from June 3rd, 2016.
Yeah.
I wonder why Trump won. So when your friend says we, referring to the Democrats, what does he think they're doing for him?
I asked him that. We had a long conversation. I kept saying, like, what is it about my politics that you don't agree with? Because I'm pretty sure we agree with a lot of things, you know, and it's funny. We had a long hour-long conversation, and every single thing I was talking about, he was like, yeah. Every single thing he was talking about, I was like, yeah. And it turns out we actually agreed on most things. And it turns out he didn't know a lot of the things that Trump was doing.
Exactly. And so is it going to turn out that he's not paying attention?
Well, most people aren't. I can only really speak for myself. I had no idea. But now I have very much a clue of what's going on.
It's crazier than ever, man.
I agree.
It is.
I agree.
As time goes on and the sheer desperation of the Democratic Party, you know, it becomes more and more visible, put it that way.
Absolutely.
And now with like, there's just, they demanded mail-in voting, and now mail-in voting is broken.
Yep.
Why?
Because they need to pull all the stops to get him out of office.
They would rather destroy this country than...
Yeah, absolutely. They can't have him continue doing what he's doing because he wants to make America strong and bring up manufacturing back and make it so that people can't go overseas to just make crazy profit and have all the people buying products and that money is leaving the country instead of staying in the country.
Have they been right about anything?
No, not that I know of.
Russiagate.
Someone tell me something that they've been right on. I'll happily check it out.
To be fair, you know, and I think in the sense we're talking, there's going to be small things they probably got right.
Sure, yeah. But
in terms of all these,
I can't name anything offhand.
In terms of all these big major stories, we can say Russiagate was a huge waste of everybody's time.
Yeah.
Just dramatically wrong for 3+ years.
Well, it fueled the whole Orange Man bad thing that they've been using as a fuel to like.
But look at these.
They got me, dude. I'll be honest. Like I didn't like him, but then I like looked in it and I'm like had to question myself. Like, why don't I like him? I'm watching his speeches. I'm hearing what he's saying. Now I'm looking at his policies based on what he's telling me. Then I'm looking at the media and hearing what they're saying based on what he's saying, and none of it makes any sense. The one thing that does make sense to me are the policies he's putting forward, and I'm like, I can get behind all that.
You know what, man? If you try to force me to do something, I'll do the opposite.
I don't like being forced to do anything.
Yeah,
I agree with you completely.
I don't know if obstinate is the right word, but it's kind of like if somebody came up to me and said, "I demand you do this or else," I'd be like, "I'm going to do the exact opposite."
Yep.
You know, like I would rather go down in flames jamming you up than living on my knees helping you do anything.
I'm curious, how would you feel if Joe Biden said to you,
"Look fat"?
If you don't know if you're voting for me, you aren't Korean. How would that make you feel? Just curious.
Not good. I get it. Yeah. No, I'd cuss him out.
Me too.
I'd tell him to go shove it.
And you know what? Props to that guy that was
Charlemagne
was doing that show with them. Props for him keeping his cool because, man, that would piss me off. For
Dude,
sure.
and his follow-up to that was insanely racist. He said that Charlemagne was being a wise guy, and I was like, excuse me? The dude asked you a legitimate question.
Right, exactly.
He said, what are you going to do for my community? Then when you said that stupid line about you ain't black, Charlemagne the God was like, no, I'm asking you a real question, man. You want the votes. Then he has the nerve to go on another show and goes like, well, he was being a wise guy, so.
It's terrible.
I don't care about this guy. This guy is a lunatic he can't think or talk straight, and they don't care, and they know it.
Yep.
They're just jamming and shaking and damaging everything.
Yeah, they clearly don't care about those communities all.
This is why I asked, have they been right about anything? Russiagate cost us years, and Trump still managed to make a good economy.
That's
cost
true.
us years. Waste of money, just fake news nonstop for years, making everyone go nuts. Ukraine Gate was fake. The whistleblower thing was fake. It turns out now, the testimony of the Russiagate stuff's being released. These guys were lying the entire time.
Yep.
Then they do impeachment, wasting everybody's time. The Democrats very early on were completely wrong about COVID.
Yep.
Trump was correct early on, and then they both deserve some credit for flubs. Okay, Donald Trump wasn't fast enough on certain issues. That's fine. Okay, I think we can say nobody wins that one. But to act like they did a good job is insane.
And to act like that Trump didn't want the best for the American people. His own grandfather died to the last pandemic in this country. Go ahead.
Justice Smollett. Wrong. Fake.
Yep.
Covington story. Wrong. Fake. Then they demanded mail-in voting. And when Trump said it's going to be bad, and the Republicans were like, we're not ready for this, they went, Trump is so dumb. He voted by mail. Mail-in voting's been around forever. And you actually listen to these people, and they'll say something very simple to you. Yes, you are correct. Mail-in voting has been around forever, but mass mail-in voting is something we don't do.
Yeah, exactly.
And we are not prepared for. And now we're getting from the New York Times story after story, 65,000 plus votes are not counted because of postal service errors.
Yep.
California just didn't count 100,000.
Right.
And in many places, it's young voters and marginalized communities that don't know how to vote who are getting disqualified because there's no one there to help them. And that's what the Democrats wanted. So they have been making a mess of everything nonstop.
Yep. Blaming it on Trump still.
You know what, man? Okay. I won't attribute malice that which can be explained by incompetence. That means we've got the three stooges for the Democrats running around going.
I mean, there's only so long that saying goes before you go, okay, it's malice now. Okay, you know what? That's enough incompetence. It's malice. there has to be a line that you're like, you know what, we finally crossed it. Clearly something's going on that shouldn't be going on. Period.
You know what I hear a lot? Yeah, but I hear the same thing about Trump. Like, how many mistakes has he made? Like COVID. COVID. You bring up COVID, good sir. Well, I have brought receipts. I would like to bring you back to the article from the Philly Billy Penn, where it says Philly rebuffs Trump's threat to send in feds. I want to highlight this key provision. That the White House seeks to impose federal involvement in this way after months of abrogating its responsibility to lead a federal response to COVID is both ironic and offensive,
Harumph.
Kenny said in a statement. Oh, harumph, how dare the president fail to lead this country. Let me show you NPR. Fact check. Trump doesn't have the authority to order states to reopen. Whoa, wait. Hold on.
I'm so sick of this.
Hold on.
Drop it, dude.
What?
Go ahead. Drop it in.
Drop it?
No. Don't drop the subject. Like drop the
Drop
bomb.
the hammer.
Drop the
Bomb,
hammer
yeah.
you're about to do. That I'm like saying. I'm rooting you on. Go for it.
When Trump said, the buck stops with me, I have the authority, every state said, nope, you don't, and we can do what we want. And Trump said, no, you need the president's authority. And they said, no. And Trump said, when you're the president, your authority is total. What did he say? He said, the authority is total. And they said, no, it's not. So Trump issued guidelines. Here's what the states should do. And they call that abrogating.
Right.
Donald Trump doesn't have the authority to go to New York and tell Cuomo what to do. He has jurisdiction over federal matters, meaning when someone crosses state lines.
Yeah.
Perhaps I don't even know if he can act border controls between states. I don't know if he has authority to do that. Maybe
I don't think so.
He can protect federal buildings. He can deal with matters of federal law, but the states control themselves.
Yep, they do.
So this is what you get. April 14th. Trump doesn't have the authority to order states to reopen. Now, I know they're specifically talking about reopening, but let me just say, if Trump doesn't have the authority to tell them to reopen, isn't it fair to say he doesn't have the authority to tell them to do anything?
That's what they're claiming now, though. That
Now they're saying he should have led the coalition, but they didn't want to.
the hypocrisy is real in
Yeah.
the Democrats.
Yep. So, you know what, man, I've been
Frustrating.
dealing with this for years, where it started off very much as, look, in the early years of Trump, I think he did some bad things, notably hiring John Bolton. And everybody knew that was a mistake.
Good point.
And I have no problem criticizing him.
warmonger.
I mean, yeah, the dude said we were going to be celebrating in Tehran. What is that? He's literally saying we're going to invade Iran. It's,
Yep.
it's insane.
It's crazy.
And Trump had to go and hire these people, you know, for whatever reason. I don't know why he did it. I don't know what's going on in the administration. But over the past year or so, it's been getting somewhat better. Notably, I'll mention, you know, calling out China and more specifically Afghanistan. So
Sure.
at this point, I'm just like, okay, man, whatever. I'll take what I can get. But early on, I started off very much as this trope of the liberal who's like, stop making me defend Trump.
I
But
hear that a lot.
But every time the media would lie, I'd be like, no, come on. He's bad, but he's not that bad.
Right.
Now it's just they've become so insane and desperate. We have moved well beyond stop making me defend Trump, and it's to the point where I'm saying stop lying, you duplicitous snake. You
Yep.
are lying about everything. It's not even about Trump anymore.
Yep.
It's about the economy. Whenever the economy does well, it's like, well, actually, the economy's bad. Stock market does well. Well, the stock market doesn't matter. Stock market tanks. Look at the stock market. Now my favorite is, where are all the libertarians to defend against, you know, the stormtroopers marching through Portland, man? I thought you wanted gun rights to go up against an oppressive state. It's like, well, okay, hold on. Maybe there's no oppressive state. Maybe there's no
They
oppressive.
can't believe that, though. That
They-
goes
they-
against their whole system. And their whole fight would be null and void.
So this is what I'm saying, man. Look, whenever I have the conversation where someone says, I know, you know, like earlier, Ian was saying, you know, I'm seeing people are saying that, you know, the federal agents are going out there and attacking protesters, and then fights are breaking out, and that other people are saying the protesters are attacking the building. It's like straight up, the protesters are attacking the building.
Right.
I just read the Bellingcat segment where it said after 39 days, the first federal response.
Right.
So we're sitting here complaining, why won't Trump do anything for 39 days? Then he finally does, and now they're all crying.
And the only thing he does is protect the federal land that they're
Well, they're
totally allowed to.
They did go out of the building and march to the streets, the feds.
Okay.
But I mean, if they're laying siege to this building with commercial grade, fireworks,
Right.
mortars, those are lethal.
Yeah, they're going out to
Make arrests.
purge the people that are actually attacking,
choice-
sieging.
Precision of words.
What?
Arrest. You said purge.
Oh, purge the streets. Well, yeah, okay, sure, whatever. Remove them from the area because they were straight up attacking the court building.
Look, I thought about this over the past several years as I've talked more and more about Civil War.
Yeah.
I did a segment earlier today on my main channel where I pulled up a bunch of stories where over the past year, longer, they've been saying Civil War, Civil War, Civil War nonstop.
Yeah.
It's coming, it's coming, it's coming. I mean, look, we're at a point where the states are openly defying the feds and rejecting their authority. But I often wondered to myself, how hard would it be to be like a moderate fence sitter when a civil war breaks out? And you don't know unless it happens, right?
Well, I got to say though, you just said the feds coming in, or they're denying the feds coming in. It's worse than that. They're letting their own cities burn. They are openly letting these people. They're arresting them, letting them out. I don't even know why they're arresting them. Why do they even arrest them?
But now that they're focused on the feds, they don't care.
Yeah.
But look, this is the point I was going to make. I'm thinking to myself, like, if you want to be objective and report on what's happening, how hard would that be in a civil war? That's what I've been thinking about over the past several years. Would it come to a point where violence breaks out and I can be like, this group and this group are doing these things? The answer is it's impossible. There is no word to describe neutrally for both sides what this group of people in Portland are, whatever. There's no one word. And I've thought about it as when I try to record, I usually just press record and start talking. But every so often I'll say something like protesters. Oh, got to stop there. They're not.
Right, they're not.
Insurrectionists?
Well, they're protesters when the cameras are on and the moms are out and they are getting their,
look, they're
singing their Black Lives Matter songs, and that's what people are sending me. Like, well, look, how can you defend the feds? Like, look, they're peaceful. There's 2,000 of these people all singing together. And
show the video of the moms trying to break the door down.
I sent them that way, and they're like, no, I don't need to see any of that.
So the point I'm making is there is no neutrality right now, none whatsoever. Right now you have a group of people, sure, we can call them that, and they're attacking a courthouse. As soon as you say that, people are going to be like, you're lying. They're peaceful. You're lying. They're protesters.
Yep.
What do you call them? Insurrectionists or protesters? Rioters or demonstrators? Whichever one you choose shows which tribe you are because of your worldview, your perspective on who they are and what they're doing.
I have a feeling most people will look at them as rioters.
It depends on what news they get. If you show them the video, I'm sure at this point, that's why I'm saying I don't know if it matters anymore. You send a video of somebody bashing a door, the response is going to be,
oh, well, where was that?
Well, no, of course they're fighting back. The unmarked secret police were snatching people up.
Oh, of course.
That's what they'll say. There's no beginning, middle, or end anymore. It's just a mess.
It's
chaos.
instantly justified in their heads. Like, yeah, sure, that makes sense.
Well,
They're just fighting the system.
It's tribes now, man.
Yeah.
And when it comes to tribalism, there is no reason anymore. It's join or die. That's all it is. So now that the state of look in Oregon, you have Mayor Ted Wheeler, and he's told the feds to get out. They were just chanting the other night, "F Ted Wheeler." There's another mayor who's going to be running in November, and this mayor has openly said that she is Antifa.
Straight up?
Straight up.
Wow.
Trump has said Antifa is a terrorist organization. So what happens when the mayor of this town joins the faction that is attacking the federal building that Trump has declared to be a terrorist organization? Civil war.
Yeah, I guess.
Right.
That's insane. It's insanity.
It's not the same thing as Fort Sumter, but I have to wonder if the Civil War was like a catalyst for unifying American nationalism, like they said.
Yeah.
It's a line from the movie National Treasure, which is itself a national treasure. Nicolas Cage, the man.
I will agree.
He says, before the Civil War, they said the United States are. After the Civil War, they said the United States is, because the United States was viewed as a single nation.
Right.
I wonder if we're looking at the unzipping now. So we've had our bell curve. We're coming off the end of this ride.
Yeah. Someone said to me today they're from another country. They said, hey, just looking from another perspective, I wonder if we're going to start calling it just the states of America.
Yeah.
instead of the United States of America.
The federal government collapses.
Just
the states
of
shore up
America.
their own borders and everything.
Yeah, maybe.
So, I mean, it'll be insanity for a decade of just chaos, border checkpoints being set up, desperate, Well, so here's what I'm saying. If Oregon has rejected the authority of the federal government, if, Chicago is now saying the same thing, Philadelphia is saying the same thing. It's not necessarily at the state level, but Oregon is at the state level.
Yeah.
Let me show you something else. Let me see if I can, where do I have this? Do I have this pulled up? There we go. I got it pulled up. Greater Idaho. Perhaps a new state.
I could still see every single time I see Idaho, I just see Joe Biden sniffing. See the
Why?
top right?
Oh,
That-
yeah.
that's
I
his
see his
nose.
face.
Oh, there you
That's
go.
the
Look at that.
chin.
There's a little Joe Biden.
I can't
sniffing.
unsee that. Once you
That's
see it, it's
amazing.
like, yep, he's
Great-
sniffing Idaho.
Oh,
Greater
gosh.
Idaho would absorb the more conservative areas,
Sniff it.
but
Interesting.
this won't change our
Where
problems.
is that from? What is that from?
This is OPB, I think. Yeah, OPB.org.
No, the map itself, is that the way it used to be, or is that just
It's from
a
Move Oregon's
suggestion?
Border for a Greater Idaho, an
Oh,
organization.
wow. Okay.
There's also calls for the state of Jefferson, which would be Northern California and like Southern Oregon.
Interesting.
Yeah. So this has been talked about, that the more conservative areas would band together.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure that would actually solve any of the problems happening right now. The problems are that, the tracks of this country, this country's tracks have split so far, they're unrecognizable at this point. And
Yeah.
all that matters is you bow to the tribe. Is the orange man good or bad? Pick one. And if you try and be like, oh, come on, chill, up, you must be on the other side. End of story.
Right.
How can there be an election if if they're like Trump is cheating
And they truly believe that he is. And then
and Obama's
And then I'm on the other side thinking that they're cheating. So it's like I could see both sides. Everyone thinks that they're just pointing fingers at each other like, you're a cheater. No, you're the cheater. Everybody's cheating. So how do we move forward then as a united
I don't
states?
think it matters. I don't think it matters.
Yeah.
I don't think it matters who wins or loses. If Trump loses, in my opinion, based on everything I've read and the news I've tracked, and I've been around the world, and of course I think I'm right. Joe Biden is going to pull off a TPP.
Yep.
He's going to try and rejoin up with China.
Yep.
They're going to sell off our industry. They're going to strip the rights of American citizens to international corporations. We already heard from Jack Dorsey when I was on the Rogan podcast when he said our rules are for a global community.
Wow.
You remember he was talking about we serve a global community, so our rules are more. The UN has basically denounced hate speech. They've basically been like, oh, you shouldn't allow hate speech. What we believe in, liberalism, and I mean that in the true academic sense of the word, not the colloquial, stupid, leftist.
Right.
Like the idea of the consent of the governed, freedom of speech, expression, the right to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness are going to be gone.
I agree. That's why I'm so afraid of people voting for Biden, because they are blinded to the bigger picture.
Now think about the other side. Their one chance to defeat white supremacy. They view America as a colonial empire of genocide that must be purged. They believe that science, that time, that schedules are all white supremacy that must be abolished and purged.
I mean, getting into that conversation, it just proves to me how misguided and
I think all that matters is
I
one
don't
thing.
know. They're just misguided for sure.
Misguided. I see the left as a chaotic, destructive force.
Yeah.
And they've,
Putting it lightly.
The modern Democrats have essentially given up and given in for power. And the leftists are taking the reins and trying to pull as hard as they can. They haven't made as many gains as they want. What's happening in Oregon is a huge advantage for them. But they can't win anything because they offer up no cohesive structure for anything. I'll tell you what does happen, though. When this fight breaks out between those who believe in this country and those who don't, China.
What, they're gonna finally pull the trigger?
China won't need there
what?
won't need to be a war if America collapses from within.
That's a good point.
So maybe this is how we avoid Thucydides' trap. America is done. And that's why people like Mark Cuban won't speak up about Hong Kong, because that's their exit strategy. America can collapse, the dollar can tank, silver and gold are spiking, stocks are spiking, and he can dump his money into China, and then when the collapse happens, he'll still be rich. Not him. I'm calling him out partly because of the Ted Cruz thing. I don't know what his, if he said anything about China. I want to be careful about dragging individuals unless I know for sure. But how many billionaires are like, my financial interests are in a bunch of different countries, I'll be rich forever.
Yep.
And how many Americans are going to be just left to live in the wastes?
We gotta be aware. We have to talk. We have to be talking. We have to be open. We have to be, explaining. It makes me think of Daryl Davis on a grander scale. Like he went and to his own threat of his own life. Like he could have been killed doing what he was doing, but he went out there to talk to these people and show them that there's not.
Well, it's not even that complicated.
It's not even that complicated.
He was like, I'm gonna go talk to him.
I'm gonna go talk to him.
This is the guy who de-radicalized 200 Klansmen,
Yep.
a famous blues musician, a black man who went to a bunch of Klan meetings.
Yep, amazing guy.
And then what happened when he went to my event in Philly?
They called him a white supremacist
and refused to talk to him.
Right, exactly.
And they had this viral post on Facebook where he was shocked.
Yep.
How was it that he was able to walk up to Klan members?
Yep.
And they were like, "What do you have to say?"
That scares me.
But then when he went to the Antifa, they were like, "Get out of here, you white supremacist, F you."
Right.
And he was like, "I can't believe it."
Or how about the police officer in Seattle, I believe it was, where he's talking and he was standing there, and I guess a younger black person walked up to him and was like, "Hey, can I talk to you? You're obviously, we're saying like to defund you. Can you talk to me?" And he's like, I really want to. I want to talk to you. But every single time I try to, some white Antifa person comes up. And at that moment, right then,
Yep.
a white Antifa person is like, "Don't talk to the police. How dare you talk
Yep.
to the police?" It's like, they can't even have their own voice anymore.
It's a cult.
It is a cult. They're trying to indoctrinate all these people and convince them that, racism is real.
No, it's not even about any of that. It's kind of like applying you have a structure, and it's made of wood, and you want it to come down. And so what they're doing is they're taking a corrosive and they're rubbing it on support structures. And then you sit back and wait, and eventually the supports become too weak and the whole thing comes down.
Yeah.
I was in San Bernardino. There was a protest. It was far left versus Trump supporters. And I was just filming. I walked over to the far left side, and there were a bunch of people in black bloc, just wearing all black, standing there. Mm-hmm. And I said, any of you guys, you want to tell me what's going on? And then all of a sudden, an organizer ran up and started chanting, just chanting. I don't remember exactly what they were chanting, but they were just mindlessly chanting, "Mic, check, mic, check, mic." That's what they do.
Yep.
If you, as a journalist, try and walk up to a group that doesn't have the ability to violently crush you like they do, if you're filming, they'll be like, "Get him, get him." They'll beat you up for having a camera.
Yeah.
They just chant so that no one can talk to you, like you were mentioning with the cop.
Yep. Exactly.
It's not about any real idea. It's not about making anything. It's about literally just applying a corrosive that destroys the support structures, the bonds of a functioning society.
Yeah.
And the problem is, there's no one trying to repair it. I mean, it's an exaggeration. There are a few. There are people like Jordan Peterson. There are people like Brett Weinstein, people like us.
I mean, I'm seeing these new politicians that are coming. Sean Parnell, for example.
Sean Parnell, Matt Gaetz, I think.
Yeah, they're out there. Someone in Jersey who's running also. It's really awesome. Got a good platform, but I see this new wave of politicians that are coming out, and that's what we need. We need this.
I think
you keep saying it's. You think it's too late. I hear you, Tim.
10% of the CDC is intersectionalist, and they demanded that the federal government declare that racism is a national health crisis.
Right, and then
so the problem is
articles are coming out right now that saying they're flubbing all the numbers, and so it's like they can't juggle so many lies. Excuse me. They can't juggle all these lies before they start dropping them all and being like, "Oops, you got me lying."
I disagree.
Okay.
When you
That's fine.
When it turns out that you have about 10,000 employees of the CDC, and 1,200 have signed a document demanding a national health crisis on racism, which makes literally no sense.
Correct.
Has nothing to do with the CDC. You've already got an ideological infection throughout your nation worse than you realize. It's like seeing one roach on the wall and going, "It's just one roach, it's fine," and ignoring it. And then a year later, you're done. And you could have done something about it, but the problem was, this was decades ago. Like you mentioned, that document on whiteness from the Smith, that was from 1990.
Yep.
Those ideas.
Right, exactly.
I'm like, wow, I didn't know any. I was a kid, I was a little kid.
Yep.
So now we've all grown up, and surrounding us, as we are all the support structure of American ideals, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, all the amendments, we are surrounded by people whose who have no logical structures in their brains to actually draw conclusions. They think time is racist. It's meaningless. They think racism is a health crisis that must be declared. They think climate change is racist. And they have these nonsensical, insane ideas like 2 + 2 = 5. And I'm not exaggerating. There's a big Twitter thread from these people explaining how math doesn't make sense because it's actually white supremacy. The argument is that, here's what they say, clearly 2 + 2 doesn't always equal 4. That's wrong because 2 apples plus 4 oranges does not, plus 2 oranges does not equal 4 apples. What they do is they manipulate, misrepresent, and confuse to fracture the bonds of a functioning logical structure. And all that will lead to is breaking down. So when 10%, apparently now I'm seeing some talk about filing FOIA requests against the federal government to figure out who's doing this weird intersectionalism. Mm-hmm. I was reading something that said that once you reach 10% saturation of an ideology, that's enough for them to take over the whole system. Especially when you realize that religious people in this country aren't actually devout religious. I'd be willing to bet that if you took the average Christian and placed them next to the average intersectionalist, the average Christian would be a regular kind of chill American who probably isn't going to preach to you. Probably. But the intersectionalist will literally punch you in the face if you don't get on your knees for, racial justice. They'll bash you in the face and they'll call you a Nazi.
Yep.
So you compare who is truly ideological. Intersectionalists throughout this country overwhelmingly are preaching the gospel of their new, well, I'll call it a cult.
Yeah.
And they're infecting every layer. How many corporations have come out against this?
I think it's a religion now. How many cult members do you need to then
I don't know.
Register.
There's really a way.
I'm pretty sure there's an actual number though, and I'm pretty sure they have their new religion, and that's what this is.
I think the reason it's graduated now to a religion is because they don't have a personality. It's literally just it's an ideology that they worship.
Yeah.
That is, it's got all. Yeah. It's I don't want to say it's a religion because religions actually are something are relatively different historically.
Yeah.
But they're definitely in the same structure of what a religion is.
You know what their idol is?
Non-theistic religion.
You know what their idol is?
Golden calf.
You were close.
What?
A golden participation trophy.
Ah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see it.
I think it should be a golden calf. I think we should make the golden calf of intersectionalism. That would be the perfect symbol for them. Figure out a way to get them to adopt it.
No, I like cows. They're cool.
Yeah, but do you know what the reference is?
Yeah, of course. But
yeah.
Still, I don't want
to worship a golden. Was it a calf?
It was a golden calf.
Yeah.
Yep. It was ground into powder, and they were made to drink it.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah. Oh no,
I don't know about that.
They did not get to keep that idol because they're Israelites.
So listen. I'm not saying necessarily that it's too late to fix the country. It's never too late to do anything. What I'm saying is that it's probably too late to stop what's about to happen. Widespread violence and destruction.
Sure.
And if we don't do it,
it's already happening. There's already widespread panic and destruction.
54 days.
Happening right
Come
now.
on, man. We're talking about 34 hours of cannon fire. Now that's impressive, but it's still a day and a half.
Right.
How about 54 days? 54 nights, to be fair.
Right. It's the nights when they when they actually start rioting.
Of riots.
Mm-hmm.
We'll just call it a riot. Like, think about it historically. When they say for 54 nights, longer than that now, it's gonna go on for what, till November? Until Trump finally retreats and they take the federal building. Think about what history would say if Trump retreats. They would say, for 73 days, insurrectionists besieged a federal building until finally the federal authorities under President Trump retreated. They took the building and destroyed it, signaling the capture of federal jurisdiction.
Yep.
So here's what I think. The big fear is that as China seeks to displace us as the world superpower, a war will break out. If we're too busy fighting amongst ourselves, there won't be a war. Or maybe there still could be.
I'm sure that's what they hope for.
Yep. Silver spiked earlier today. It's really interesting. I don't know enough about the markets. It'd be interesting to talk to somebody about precious metals. But
True.
Gold's been going up.
Yep.
And that basically, as far as I know, is not a good sign for the dollar. Who was it recently who said?
Peter Schiff.
Peter Schiff
Mm-hmm.
said there's going to be like a dollar shortage or a crisis or something.
Yeah. Well, he was talking about it at the same time you were. You
Yeah.
were like, I think the dollar is going to crash. I think that's the end of the U.S. economy. And he was tweeting it as we were talking about it. I thought it was funny.
I think with these coin shortages, a lot of stores have stopped taking cash outright. It's getting really interesting. Really, really interesting. I hope you've all geared up and gotten ready for November. November 4th is going to be the most interesting day of our lives, I would imagine. Straight up. The clock is ticking.
Yep.
We're now, just a little bit over 3 months. A little bit over 3 months, about 3.5 months.
Yeah, they're firing all cylinders, man.
You know what?
Everything is happening right now.
I'm going to enjoy my last Halloween. It's going to be fun.
That's depressing, dude.
What?
You can be a little depressing sometimes.
The last Halloween?
Yeah, just in general, you can be a little depressing.
Why?
What did you just say?
I'm going to enjoy my last Halloween?
Yeah, that's depressing, dude.
Well, hey, man. I'll tell you what.
No. I'm not going to accept that. Sorry. No. I'm telling you, you're wrong right now. We're going to have other Halloweens. Life's going to continue on. These people everyone's standing up right now, and everyone's ready to fight.
I think you take it way too seriously when I say last Halloween.
I can't take things. It's hard for me to not be serious anymore. I know I love to joke. I love to have a good time, but the more I look into this and the more I understand the gravity of what is happening right now, all of us should be this aware, and we should know how serious it is. It's hard for me to just switch it from this is really serious civil war. People are trying to bring down America, and then like crack jokes. It's not easy for me to do that anymore because
I'll say it right back, man. That's depressing.
Okay, maybe it is.
If I make a joke about the last Halloween because November 4th is going to be the day of chaos.
Yeah,
I'm not literally saying Halloween will never happen again.
Well, I'm just telling you how I feel, man.
It's just exaggeration about the severity of what's to come.
Right. Okay.
And it is. And you know what, man? Like, when I look around at this country and the talk of the silent majority, I cross my fingers. But it's funny how the left has this view of Trump supporters as these, like, the meme is the guy in the Rascal with his belly hanging out and he's got 2 full auto guns and like nachos in front of him and he says America.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish we had even a handful of those guys who loved America so much they gorged themselves and drove around with guns and a Rascal. It doesn't exist. You've got a bunch of chill people who want to live their life, work hard, feed their family, do their thing.
Yep.
They love and respect this country for what it is, but they are not going out screaming America at the top of their lungs with full auto guns.
No, they're researching laws, researching how to get into the government and actually make an actual change and not screeching and throwing bombs at a courthouse. And that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing people actually going out and working towards making a difference legally. And that's the silent majority you're talking about.
And that's why they're losing. Ben Shapiro said that trying to get I'm going to paraphrase him, so hopefully I'm getting it right, but he said something akin to trying to win a political victory while they've taken over the cultural institutions is rearranging the chairs on the Titanic. And I completely agree.
Okay.
Breitbart said it a decade ago. He's the one who said it, right? Politics is downstream from culture.
Yeah. And
so you look at what the left has done consistently. Barack Obama was a celebrity. They loved that guy, big old charismatic smile on his face. Well, he enacted the NDAA and indefinite detention provisions and did all these horrible things.
Yes, he did.
And he got away with it because he was part of the dominant cultural institutions. So now you have Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, and we're lucky to be on these platforms.
You're right. And I'm glad we were able to be here so I can actually give my views out there. I mean, just this morning, I woke up and someone tagged me. They're like, yo, Tim's video about all these leftists going to the right, running to MAGA, and the Democrats are freaking out, was trending. In gaming.
It's so weird.
No, it's not.
No,
it's not weird.
Trending in gaming.
No, it's not weird because the gaming industry itself has been infected by SJWs. I'm a gamer, I know.
Yeah.
Many gamers are fed up with it. They're like Red Bull, like for example, it's like Red Bull sells sugar drinks. Why should it matter what they're it's like that's all it is. It's like gamers want to go to a game and escape. So the fact that they're not even allowed to escape in their games means it's not working anymore.
And this started about 7 years ago. Gamergate was the first battle of the cultural civil war.
Well, it makes sense because they're the younger generation that you're saying politics is downhill from culture. Well, that culture has been attacked for so long now that they think that they have all the new generation on their side. Well, that is not true. It's not.
Well, so this is why you're dangerous.
Sure, that's because people have said it to me. Whatever, I'm not going to stop talking.
I didn't say you should.
Right, I won't.
So we were talking about this earlier, and I was like, I'll be as flattering as possible. You've got Adam Krigler, who's male model, pro skateboarding rock star, who all of a sudden now is coming out and being like, "Go Trump," but you you develop all of these important cultural things.
Yeah.
The idea of like a pro skateboarding rock star, that's like what every kid wanted to be 20, 30 years ago, you know? It was like, you know, being a famous musician and being a pro skater, all these things, right? And so that's culture. Conservatives went for the political victory, but like Ben Shapiro said, rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic.
Right.
So they won, congratulations. In 2016, they controlled all branches of the government. They then lost it in 2018.
Well, I mean, we talked about it though. They locked him down. They froze
they
it
did.
all, so they couldn't do anything.
But it's because they control the newspapers.
That's true.
They control
Exactly.
the movies, the TV shows.
And a lot of people are now realizing because of COVID, they don't have jobs. A lot of people are stuck at home. They can't go out. There's no sports. What are they doing? They're watching the mainstream media, listening to the president speak, going back and cross-checking themselves now.
That's true.
And seeing what are they talking about now, instead of having to the few people defend him, like, oh, you're going to make me defend Trump. Now everyone's like, oh yeah, okay, you don't have to him anymore because I can see for myself. People are seeing for themselves.
When Trump was doing daily press briefings, his approval numbers were higher in the aggregate than they've ever been.
And why do you think he's going to start doing it again?
He's going to start him up again, but they're not
Exactly.
going to cover it. They accuse him of lying and all that stuff. So anyway, the ultimate point is Republicans and conservatives need to be fighting on the cultural front. And they started doing that with memes on the internet. And then the left, which controls the platforms with which this communication happens, nuked every single one of them.
That's correct.
Just they were like, purge. And so here's what happens with the best example, I believe, is probably the Donald.
Yep.
There was a study done by, I think it was MIT Review, that found that 4chan and the Donald were the progenitors of the most prolific memes on the internet. Seriously, just all the jokes, everything you would see came from 4chan or the Donald. So what do? They accuse the Donald of all this wrongdoing, of all this manipulation, and maybe some of it's true. I don't know. I didn't investigate it, so I'm not going to pretend like I did.
Okay.
But they then quarantined the Donald under false pretenses. They were threatening police, they said. You think the Blue Lives Matter people were threatening the cops?
Not in the slightest.
That's insane.
I agree.
And so what a lot of people at the Donald thought was that you get some far leftists who invade, post these things, and then before they can even realize they exist, the admins go, look at this, you should have got rid of it. Quarantined. So they created their own website, thedonald.win, which is now probably one of the biggest pro-Trump forums, considering the Donald itself has been banned permanently.
Yep.
They were gone for 4 months. For 4 months, the Reddit, the Donald, was inactive. And then the CEO comes out and says, we're banning all these subreddits, including the Donald, because they broke the rules. But no one had posted for 4 months. It was locked down, which means they retroactively applied new rules to an old forum.
Yep.
Which shows there's literally nothing you can do. They snap their fingers and they nuke you. Now what's going on? DDoS attacks against the Donald.win. They're making it, you can try and pull up the website periodically and it won't work.
Wow.
You can't open it because a denial of service attack is slamming into it. So they're trying really hard to shut them down.
Yep.
And now that they can't control them directly because they've created their own website, people are going after them indirectly. So I'll tell you what, man, I'm surprised we're still lucky enough to be able to speak, but I think it's because we follow the rules. You know, we're not overly bombastic. We don't insult, we don't swear, we play it very, very safe, and it makes it very difficult, but they're going to try, man.
Yep.
They're going to start snipping up bits and out of context. They're going to start pulling up your old posts and trying to figure out anything they can get from you that's ever been offensive, whatever. Find a way to get rid of the things we're talking about, because they have to purge the ideas.
Yep.
And then when there's, I've been watching Avatar, the Last Airbender, because I just added it to Netflix.
Okay.
And so apparently it's like a big thing right now. Everybody's watching it. Netflix is like, got it right there, recommended. But there's one episode where a bunch of, for those who aren't familiar with the show, I'll just keep it simple. There's 4 elements, and each, nation, has like an element. I'm very simplifying it. And so people of the Earth nation are enslaved. They can control Earth to fight with.
Okay.
They're on a ship, and the main characters give them weapons, basically, and they refuse to fight back. And I was thinking about this because it's a really interesting idea that even when given the power, people who are beaten down and demoralized won't stand up for themselves. And it's because they need a unifying rallying cry or connecting bond. If people don't know that the uprising is here, they don't rise up. So that's why Facebook was so powerful in the Middle East for the Arab Spring. You give them that one Facebook post that everybody could see, and they were like, there's the unifying point so that we can all rise up and attack. And then in the show, the one guy stands up and then everyone joins him. So that's kind of what needs to happen, I suppose. But so far, it's only happened on the political front. How you do it on the cultural front, I don't know, because the cultural institutions have been dominated now for like several decades. You know what's really crazy too is I think it happened about 10 years ago with the shift from Jon Stewart to the current iteration of cookie cutter plastic robo comedians.
I could see that. Yeah.
Same formula.
Yep.
It's current year, little Timothy. The same formulaic, nonsensical non-humor.
Yeah.
And lies from people like John Oliver.
I tried watching him recently, actually.
It's ridiculous.
And I used to think it was funny. And I was cringing the whole time because I knew how inaccurate the stories. It's like if you just watch the mainstream media, he's funny because then you think the stories he's reporting are real. But the fact is he just makes fun of the fake stories. And it's
he lies himself.
I'm not going to go cross-reference all of his old
I'll
episodes.
Be fair.
But
he's wrong often.
Yeah, okay.
But then you look at Samantha Bee, and you look at Trevor Noah.
She's horrendous.
You look at Jim Jeffries, and the whole thing they do is this cookie-cutter, formulaic, fake comedy. I call it fake comedy because it's not real jokes.
Right.
It's like the Big Bang Theory. It's like they took The Daily Show, which was funny and organic.
Yeah.
And they took the structure of the Big Bang Theory, non-humor just placed in front of you, and made a Big Bang Theory version of news comedy.
Explain the Big Bang Theory to me because I've never seen that show.
So the Big Bang Theory is the perfect example of if you take out the laugh tracks, literally nothing happens.
Oh, okay.
So it'll be like, it's one of those shows where, the guy will walk in and go, Adam, those are crazy headphones. And then they just pause for about 3 seconds and nothing happens. And the other guy goes like, yes, they are. And then he pauses for about 3 seconds and nothing happens.
And that's the show?
But they add a laugh track.
Yeah.
And so the show is very popular because it's plastic, robotic nonsense.
Okay.
So like you can actually go on YouTube and watch Big Bang Theory with no laugh track. And you're like, and Friends with no laugh track. Seriously, it's all the same thing.
That's true.
So they took someone like Jon Stewart who had genuine opinions and did a show. It was funny. And like he was fair to Project Veritas when Veritas did the expose. And he was even like, journalists, where are you? This guy with the camera did a bigger story than you did.
Yeah.
It's really amazing. Today, like Project Veritas is evil. They lie nonstop about who they are and what they do.
Well,
Everything.
Not
about
only that, if you are a true journalist and you're exposing actual things, you're going to get taken out or defamed or canceled or whatever.
Yep.
However you want to put it, and it's happening.
Like they do to James O'Keefe.
Yep.
So it's the way I see Project Veritas is they do undercover reporting. I personally think they're biased towards the right, but that doesn't matter. Their bias is less relevant than are they telling the truth and uncovering real information? The answer is yes, they are. If you have a problem with that, then do journalism and uncover the other side, whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not going to get mad at someone for doing journalism because the stories they focus on tend to benefit a political faction, if that's, your view of things. I do think that even that narrative is a little skewed because when he goes after Google and the mainstream press, to assume those are left-wing institutions is kind of a funny thing to admit. So I do think he's a conservative for sure. They try and destroy his credibility, and they try and claim he's not a real journalist. They do the same thing to Andy Ngo.
Yep.
But these people they control the cultural institutions. It was funny. I was having this conversation with someone a while ago, and they always default to the same thing. When you say that the left has all the power, they go, Trump is the president.
Right.
Because they don't understand that politics is downstream from culture.
Yeah, someone was trying to argue with me the other day about how they were like that. That whole the attack ad. This is Trump or this is Biden. This will be Biden's America, and they posted it and they were like, how can they say this? Like it's Trump's America right now. He's the president, and I'm just like, God, do you realize what's happening? Do you understand that it's the Democrats' cities that this is happening in? And just try to have this conversation. And by the end of it, it was actually fairly civil, which I was grateful for. But at the end, this person just said, well, it doesn't matter because he is the president, period. The end. And it's like
people think the president can do way more than they can.
Yeah, that's what I keep asking. Like, what you can't pick and choose whether he's this authoritarian figure, but then he has no power, and then whichever battle you're having, like you switch per day because they keep switching. It's like which is it? Make up your mind.
He's I did a tweet on this once. because I got sick of all these stories up at the same time, and I can't remember exactly everything I said, but I'm like, he's a fascist who won't exercise his authority over states. He's a mastermind playing 4D chess, but fumbling and bumbling and losing.
Yeah.
He's secretly winning with his secret, like all of these news stories. Just you have no idea what's happening, and I wonder if that's part of it too. The point is to keep everyone confused and spun around in circles. So all you can really do is just go vote. I will say though, I watched a couple of the videos from Don't Walk Run Productions.
Yeah.
Andrew, the senior political correspondent, going over all the polls and breaking down why they don't make sense. And it's actually really funny when he goes through as like, Pew says that Joe Biden is up by like 11 points. And he's like, let's break down how their polling works. And then he shows their polling methodology and it makes no sense. It's like a weighted poll and it goes through this ridiculous. So you have to subtract 2 people here and then add this there. And he's like, I don't get it either.
I want to respond to something you just said right in the middle of that. And you just kind of blew right over it. You said the only thing you can really do is go vote.
Yes.
Period.
Yep.
What do you think the people on the right and the majority of America are waiting to do? They're not going to riot. I just want to say that, like, that's what they're doing. They're waiting to go vote. America is not the Titanic.
Let me contextualize that.
Go ahead.
What I'm saying is, when I say the only thing you can go do and vote, it's in the context of the polls. Don't sit there and think Joe Biden's going to win or Trump's going to win. Just go and vote. I'm not saying it's the only.
Oh, they are.
I'm not saying quite literally in the grand scheme of things the only thing you can do, because I think there's a lot more you should be doing and not just sitting around and waiting to go vote. What I'm saying is, to clear the context,
yeah.
If you're going to look at all the polls every day, if you're going to track all the news and say who's winning today, it's a waste of your time. Because I can easily pull up a poll right now that says Donald Trump is actually winning. I can easily argue, and it's amazing to me. I talked about this before when David Pakman did a video that said Donald Trump's disapproval is the all-time high. And I saw that and I thought to myself, why won't I do that same story? Is it because I'm biased and secretly am in favor of Trump? No, it's because it was one poll.
Right.
And when I talk about Trump's all-time high, I try to use the aggregate to get a better view of his polling numbers.
Yeah, which is all the polls.
And
right?
even right now, he's not the lowest he's ever been. So I'm not going to make a story saying it's the worst it's ever been, because in the aggregate, it's just not true. It's stabilized around 41 to 42%. So when he reaches his best, I'm like, that's huge. The aggregate polling. When one poll comes out saying it's worse than ever, I'm like, yeah, but come on. It's static. When you do polling, eventually you get blips. And you have to average them out to try and figure out, because sometimes you poll the wrong people.
Yep.
So that's that,
or poll the same people over and over and over again too. It's like the echo circle that we talk about.
Yeah.
It's like they're only talking to themselves. So how do they know what the rest of everyone's thinking?
That's actually another thing in that video I was talking about from Don't Walk Run.
Oh, did I talk about that?
Yeah, where it's like they have a polling group where they ask the same people every 2 weeks.
Right.
Well,
the poll still shows.
Yeah, right.
It's like you ask the same group. Sure.
Yeah.
Why would you think that their opinions changed?
And that's the thing, man. I wonder if the tribes have been solidified already. Are people just waiting now to jump up and go vote, or what's going to happen?
Well, just to use Twitter as an example, I browse a lot. There's a lot of good sources on there. A lot of senators, a lot of actual people in charge posting what they're doing, their bills that I can go connect to and read. And then, of course, there's the crazy people that are on Twitter also. And you can just look at, I always like to take a step back and look at it as a whole. You'll have a tweet just that does, let's just say it's pro-left, okay, just as a broad sense, and then a tweet that says pro-right. Now, if you go through the comments, half of the comments on the pro-left are anti-left. And then you look at the pro-right, 98% of them are pro-right.
Yeah.
So it shows me, just as a general populace, opinion,
of active Twitter users,
of the active Twitter users, most of them think the left is crazy, and they fight them on most things. Now this is just something I've noticed over my months of being active on Twitter. So I'm seeing that.
You might be in a bubble.
Sure, but I do.
Twitter skews left.
Sure, but and if that's the case, then that proves it even more to me. Then, if it skews left, then wouldn't there be more left-leaning everything? I mean, I follow.
There's a bunch of people I could give you where you'll see nothing but the opposite of what you're saying.
Okay, I mean, I'm just telling you what I've noticed.
I blocked so many people.
I don't block anybody. I don't block anybody. I want to see it all.
It's not about that. You know why I block people?
Why?
Because they will purposefully pull your tweets out of context and then lie about you to generate money. They'll take one of your tweets where, you know, you'll say something. Let's say you quoted somebody.
Okay.
They'll screenshot it and then they'll post it. And at the bottom it'll be like, hey, don't forget my PayPal link, because they know it generates income.
Well, if I see that, maybe I'll start adopting that.
It's you know what I love the most is when I would post things on Facebook. I would like write something out and just post it.
Yeah.
And then I would get these lefties being like, Tim's only saying this to boost himself in the algorithm to make money. And I'm like, you think I make money on Facebook?
Right.
Like, what money do I make on Facebook on my personal profile when I complain about stuff?
Right.
Nothing.
Yeah, but the real thing is, most people aren't on Twitter.
Yeah, 78%.
Most people don't waste their time wondering about whatever their Twitter is doing.
And Trump knows it.
Or Facebook, for example. Even though there's probably a lot of people that use Facebook, but regularly, probably not. Most people are busy working. Most people get home from work and then hang out with their families, raising their kids. They don't have all this free time to go march in the streets.
Maybe Goya and Red Bull can be a turnaround moment. Perhaps this is
every single day more things pop up.
Magoya.
Just like this. Magoya. Mm-hmm.
Magoya.
Yep.
Make America Goya again.
Like even Red Bull. Red Bull straight up fired people
their
because
CEO.
they leaked documents.
It's not just people.
It was just a meme, a joke about just a map.
Whoa, no.
Oh, it goes deeper?
The initial story was that they fired these executives over leaking this insensitive map.
Right.
But then they purged their cultural marketing divisions.
Wow.
Yes, the Trump-loving CEO of Red Bull, it would seem, nuked these executives because they were trying to put in place a new diversity and inclusivity like program or whatever within Red Bull.
Right.
1 month before their termination. Sounds like he saw it and said, out.
Yeah, get out.
Get out of my company. And now people were like, oh, harumph, how dare you? Oh, diversity.
Well, I'll tell you what, I've never really been the biggest energy drink fan, but I don't mind Red Bull. But maybe I'll adopt it a little bit. I mean, I like seeing people stand up for what they think is right.
How many companies, we were talking about this before, like sock company.
Yeah.
We're going to put out a grand statement about why is the NBA doing it? NBA put like on one of their courts where they're going to be doing these like digital games. They wrote Black Lives Matter.
Right.
Why?
Right. Why?
I mean, I got to be honest. I don't watch basketball anyway, so they're not losing my money because I wasn't giving to them in the first place. But I'll pretend that I'm boycotting them. No, I don't care all that much, to be honest. But it is strange to me that I will tell you this. Baseball and football I would passively watch sometimes.
Okay.
Not if they're kneeling. I'm just not interested in entertaining that stuff at this point.
Yeah, Trump actually tweeted that out. He's like, man, I really miss watching live sports. But I got to say, as soon as I see someone kneeling and disrespecting like the country, I turn it off. I'm not interested anymore because it's like this country is great. But they don't have any idea what they actually have. Like what they've got this like fairy tale in their head that we're like such this negative place, and it's just not true. It's not. For
me, it has nothing to do with disrespecting anybody. It has to do with someone like doing the Cobra, Hail Cobra Commander or whatever.
Okay.
It has to do with when they kneel, they are not disrespecting anything as far as I'm concerned. They're pledging allegiance to something else. They're asserting that they are at odds, that they it's hard to explain, but it's essentially them saying the culture war exists, we are a part of it, and we are opposed to you. That's what they're saying when they do it. Now, listen, I understand. They try and do this meme where they're like, saying Black Lives Matter and kneeling isn't a negative towards you.
Yeah.
You are incorrect. You are asserting an otherness. You are pledging to an ideology which is at odds with my very existence. I don't know if you guys saw the Ryan Long comedy video, but you absolutely have to see it, where it's two best friends and one guy's shirt says woke and one guy's shirt says that says racist, and they keep looking at each other and yelling the same things.
Yeah,
because they believe in the same things.
Yep.
So when you have in California in November, I look, if you can tell me if Predict It has this, I'm going to put a ton of money on it. Will California repeal its civil rights legislation I will put it all on yes. You know why? The name of the bill is the Affirmative Action Amendment.
Right.
The bill itself literally just strikes out the civil rights law.
It's
has
crazy.
nothing to do with affirmative action on the surface.
Every time I say this to anyone, like even my friend today, I was talking to him about it, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I know about that," and I'm like, "And you are still claiming to be a Democrat? Like how?"
Yes, no, that's about right.
What? Like, do you not realize what that means? That they can discriminate based on your race again. We got rid of that 50 years ago. Why are we going back?
And you know what I said?
60 years ago.
Well, so to wrap up that first point, yes, I think this is a threat to my existence when they want the ability to choose what races and they make random determinations about privilege.
Right.
California's Assembly and Senate voted yes to repeal this civil rights legislation. It now goes to, I believe, to like a general vote, whatever, in November.
Yeah.
But people are just going to see, do you support the Affirmative Action Amendment? Yes or no? Yes.
It's brought by Democrats? Yeah, they're great.
Affirmative Action Amendment. Yes.
Insane.
There you go. And they're gonna roll with it. So I was talking to my friend about this, and they kept saying to me, "But why don't you like affirmative action?" And I said, "I don't care. It has nothing to do with what we're talking about. But it's the Affirmative Action Amendment."
Yeah.
And, okay, but the language says the bill will remove this text, and they're like, "Well, hold on." But all of these news articles are saying that it's for affirmative action. I said, I don't care what the news articles are saying. Did you read it? I sent you the link.
Read the bill itself, please.
They finally read it and said, I don't understand. Why? How does this make sense? And I said, don't ask me. I guess the idea is if they can discriminate based on race, they can balance jobs or whatever. And then my friend said, but that sounds like a good thing, doesn't it? And I said, sure, if you think it's a good thing that certain areas that are maybe dominated by Republicans start putting up whites only signs, if you think that's a good thing, then go ahead and support that.
Or Republican only. You don't even have to make it a race thing. I mean, it is.
Well,
they are making a race thing, but it's like.
But it's also gender, national origin,
right, exactly.
Religion.
All of the above. That's what it is.
Christians only. So
insanity.
Look, I don't think for the most part Republicans will say white only. Some might do it as a matter of like. As to point out the absurdity of what they're doing.
Okay, so or invert it. The Democrats putting up signs that say black only. It's like,
but
where does it end? Like how?
Well, here's the problem.
Right.
They like that.
It's
I'm talking to a
craziness.
progressive friend, and they like that. So the only way to effectively communicate the severity of this bill is to tell them. Here's what I said. Do you think that Republicans are racist? Of course. Okay. Do you think that once you remove this bill, Republicans will start putting up signs saying whites only? Wait, what? Because they'll be allowed to discriminate, right? Yeah. So do you think the Republicans, given the opportunity, would say whites only? Yeah. Do you think Donald Trump would intervene to stop them? No. Don't you think this law is bad? Yeah.
Yeah, bring it back around.
Now, I don't think Republicans would actually do that, but it's the only way to communicate.
But that's what they believe, because if it's not their ideology, they're evil.
Exactly.
So that's a great way of putting it too, because how do you
I'll tell
explain
you what, man,
that? How can you accept that?
I assure you, there are parts of California where they will gleefully put up a whites only sign.
It's crazy to me.
They would.
And now I know racist people are out there, and I don't like them. I think they can all go burn. I don't care. Like if you're truly a racist, you don't belong here, because this is a country of banding together and being Americans, not whatever race you are, not a color before American. Just simply American. That's what we are here.
Well,
and they're trying to get rid of that.
I won't go as far as you on that one.
Okay, that's fine.
I think if you're a racist, I'm not going to hang out with you. You can go off and do whatever you want, and leave me and my friends alone, and we'll do our thing, and we'll vote against you, and we'll keep advocating for why you're wrong.
And eventually they'll go away.
Perhaps. I mean,
okay, maybe that was a little strong. Sure, I don't want anyone to burn. You're right. I do want everyone to. I want it like Daryl Davis. Like he converted these people to see that everyone bleeds, everyone loves, everyone laughs. You know, it's like that's what we need. That's what we need.
Well, he tried it with Antifa. That didn't work.
He tried with Antifa.
So listen,
and it didn't work. No,
we got to clarify though. Racist doesn't just mean this image of like a shaved head country music white dude.
Right.
You know, like that. I'm using the joke from the Ryan Long comedy thing for those who don't get it. It's a reference to the left as well.
Yep.
These woke, insane people. Look, I have friends who are like I was telling you. I was talking to this friend about this law in California.
Yeah. Insanely
woke. I wish her no ill will. I will talk to her when given the chance and try and speak sense. And I think that when the chaos, I'm presuming chaos and violence, when that happens, I hope they stay safe.
Yep.
But I don't know what to expect on that front. What happens when friend against friend, brother against brother? That's going to be truly crazy. But I'll tell you what, man. I met a communist in Berkeley wearing a communist mask with a sickle and hammer, and we had a great conversation. And they were a narco-communist. So when I said to them, like, they were giving out literature, how do you feel about Antifa? And they were like, oh, who's that? And I'm like, those guys over there. And they're like, oh, those guys, man. I mean, as long as they're chill, I'm kind of cool. It's okay. And then I said, what if they get violent? And he was like, nah, man, you can't do that. That goes against everything we're supposed to believe in. These people are not real communists. And I thought it was funny. I'm like, sure, they're not.
Wasn't
right.
real communism.
However, I shook the guy's hand and I said, listen, man, if you believe that our system should be built upon collective ownership of everything, and we can all hold hands under the sun and sing, and you believe you will go about enacting that world through communication, debate, and hard work, by all means, come hang out with me every day and we'll talk about your ideas for communism and why I think you're wrong. But if you're a violent insurrectionist who wants to, burn things and beat people, well, now we got a problem.
Yeah.
So long as you can believe. I actually have my limits, though. This guy, if he was a leftist racist, I'd be like, look, I get it. You can go hang out somewhere else. I'm not down with, racists. You can believe what you want to believe. This is America, but I'm not cool with that. So we can pick and choose. I don't go to churches. I don't go to, monk events or whatever. I do my thing. I play video games. I'm going to mind my own business. And there are certain people that I actually find disgusting and detest. But you know what? As long as we're not stabbing each other and the world's not burning down, let's try and do the best we can to make sure things aren't, collapsing. The problem now is we're getting this far left that their view of what racism is so skewed that they're calling black people white supremacists. And then they're getting violent.
I mean, we're seeing people like Nick Cannon, for example, coming out and say stuff that...
Oh, that dude's nuts.
And maybe that's an issue. Maybe people need to stop equating what one person says as like a blanket statement for them representing their whole race. It's like, that's ridiculous. It's like, again, they exist. Clearly, racism is still alive, but and
emboldened on the left.
And exactly, you're absolutely right. This whole woke culture. I mean, we started talking about it because of that comedy with the racist shirt and the woke shirt, and they're saying the same thing. It's like we've been seeing this all the time. Like there's memes all sorts of places that are saying exactly the same thing. Being woke is being racist. It's literally the same thing.
That's why they're trying to change the definition of racist.
Right.
Because they're literal racists.
Yep.
There was actually a really viral Facebook post several years ago, like 2014, where a guy said the reason they're arguing semantics so often, trying to change the definition of what racism is, privilege and power, is because they're actually overt racists, and they need to make sure that can't be weaponized against them. So the first thing they do is try and change definitions.
Good point.
Yep. Oh, I can't be racist because... I'm sorry, Adam. It's actually true. I personally cannot be racist. It's true. As long as I agree with them.
Right.
Otherwise, I'm white. But if I agree with them, I'm a marginalized person, and I can't be racist. But if I disagree, Schrodinger's marginalized person. Or no, someone said it's the Heisenberg uncertainty marginalized person. There you go.
Harumphenberg.
How about we hit up them super chats?
Sounds good.
Super chats. Man, what a crazy time to be alive, man.
Oh, man.
I've been having conversations with some people about what's going on. And you know what, man? I'm going to gloat. I've had a decent amount of like moderately high profile people like hit me up like, bro, you were right. I'm like, go on. That's it. You were right. I'm like, I know. And you were right. And the van is awesome. Bingo.
Yes.
The van is awesome.
Oh, in a couple months, I'm going to be able to say that to you.
What? The van is awesome?
No, that I was right.
Oh.
About what? Trump winning?
Everything I've been talking about.
But I don't know what you mean specifically.
Silent majority. Just waiting to vote. Take up and
I'm very precise with my words.
Okay.
I haven't said there is no silent majority.
I never said that.
I said I don't know if there's one.
It's okay. I'm not necessarily saying that you were countering what I was saying, but I'm still going to tell you in a couple months when we find out.
Right.
Here we go. We got
Thanks,
we got a very serious super chat. Crackbot says, Tim, there are 3 boxes we use: the ballot box, the jury box, and the final one would be the cartridge box.
Oh.
Ooh, spicy.
Got a point.
Oh, it's true though. I mean, whether you want it to be real or not, that's a fact.
Yep.
Cornelis Jans de Jaeger says precious metals are a very stable commodity. When turmoil is expected, people buy up metals as they aren't volatile or affected if the stock market plummets. This could be the market preparing for a severe plummet. And I think that's actually a fair estimate.
I agree.
Or for a fair assessment, considering delinquencies are on the rise. Housing is going to tank. It's going to ripple out from everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, have you guys smashed that like button? We have 38,000 viewers, but only 13,000 likes. Something seems to be incorrect.
Y'all better
You're
be
right.
smashing that like button.
It takes but a second, but it does help. And also subscribe. Make sure you smash the subscribe button to get the show. We do it Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. And you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Parler at Timcast, at Adam Krigler at the same place, and at Sour Patch Lids on Twitter and Parler as well.
You know, you mentioned something just now, the housing market. That that back in 2008 it popped, right?
Yep.
You know what people are starting to talk about, and I was thinking about this earlier today. The mainstream media bubble is going to pop soon.
It is. It already is popping.
It's popping because people are realizing how crazy, and it's basically the mainstream media telling everyone, I think you're stupid. Listen to what I have to say. And it is so demeaning. And people are starting to go, you know what? F you, mainstream media.
We're watching the death throes of the media.
Yep, we are.
So
Absolutely.
what's happening is people used to go to CNN for news.
Yep.
And so they commanded a decent audience, and they could sell premium advertisement for news, viewers, which tended to be educated business people. Well, now everyone gets their news through random social media posts.
Memes.
This is why they switched to Orange Man Bad, reality TV.
Right.
It's why, CNN, which has gone full reality TV show with I'm quarantined in my basement, boo! Because reality TV, that's why they brought off Jeff Zucker. He was the reality TV guy who did The Apprentice. He did The Apprentice, right?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, whatever. I think he did. So they bring this dude on. They change their format because the media has been dying for years and they know it.
Yep.
And so they're desperate for anything. And when they're gone, it's going to be a crazy time, man.
Yep.
Jorge Robles says, I already requested off election day just to make sure I can get to the polls. Yes. I recommend all do the same. I'm sure it's going to be packed this year. Make sure you get your vote in and spread the word, Trump 2020. That's 2 words, actually. Oh, it's a word and a number.
Trump 2020.
Yeah. Lone Wolf says, nope, I can't read that. It's gone anyway. Sparky says, Telecom Act of 1996 is the root of our problems. It allowed too much media consolidation and took down logistical barriers between phone companies and government, which prevented willy-nilly spying on citizens. Repeal Telecom Act of 1996. I don't know enough about it, but I will take your word for it. Man, we're getting slammed with these super chats, huh? John Garcia says, I appreciate what you guys are doing. You have my support. Keep doing the good work. Appreciate it. Chris Rhodes says, curious, what you guys think of this? People love to compare the current climate to Nazi Germany. So I want to ask, are we watching the rise of black supremacy, with Antifa acting as their SS, physically enforcing their rules with force and fear? What Antifa is doing is literally what Antifa did in pre-World War II Germany. It was the militant wing of the Communist Party, so they're doing the same thing. The only issue now is there's no fascists to oppose them. There's just liberalists, conservatives, Americans. And I'll tell you what I often how I often explain it. I love using the example of Sargon of Akkad because he's the liberalist guy. Do you think that he will ever lead a large group of liberalists to Twitter HQ with pitchforks and torches to tear down the walls and demand that their rule be enforced?
It'd be funny if he did.
Of course he's not going to do this. He's going to have that charming British accent where he explains to you the real reason, liberalism is the correct, ideology or whatever. But Antifa will show up screeching at the top of their lungs, smashing windows and beating people. So who do you think these companies are going to bend over backwards for? Whoever is about to hit them. We'll see how that plays out in the election, though. We'll jump back. Let's see. Jake Dog says, Biden voice, spin that line, dog face, pony soldier, and smash that thing, I guess. Biden. Spin that.
I've never spun the Biden before.
Oh, I got to turn it on. I got to turn it on.
You're a lion, dog face, pony soldier.
Excellent.
We have this for no reason. Sean Easton says, now that I see Tim is watching Avatar The Last Airbender, could y'all review it once you finish? No Korra. Also, could you have Xi Jinping on soundboard to the Winnie the Pooh theme song? That'd be great. I watched Avatar like a long time ago when it first ran. And now now I'm just binging it on Netflix. It's good fun. King Canuck says, haven't supered in a while due to there being so many supers that y'all never get to. Hope you three have been doing well. Also, I love you all Americans, but that border is staying shut until you get your numbers under control, for sure.
Yeah, the numbers.
Uh-huh.
Let's move on.
The Mr. Pickle says, there are so many NPCs in the world because God doesn't have the processing power on his PC to have everyone as playable characters.
Huh.
Guess he needs to download more RAM. You ever play the original Warcraft?
Yep.
So you know how if you keep clicking on the same guy,
He'll say a few different things.
and then eventually he gets annoyed?
Yeah.
But then he just circles back?
Mm-hmm.
I swear I've met people like that.
Work complete.
Yes?
Okay.
What? My liege? What? You're getting on my nerves.
Oh, yeah.
What do you want? My liege? Then it starts over again.
Right.
That was really funny. I loved that stuff. They did great. But yeah, like I've actually met people where it's like they talk like that. Like you try and talk to them and they burp, burp. It's almost like they have a menu where it's like they can only say 5 things.
I forget who, someone, was it Dr. July? DJ July? I forget. It's someone on Twitter at follow. He's great. There was this, he was live and he was asking someone who was on the left, like calling him out for calling him out. And he's like, I'm here. Let's talk about it. Go ahead. Ask me. And the guy's like, and he's like, do you need to go with your other keyboard warriors and ask them?
Yeah.
He's like, yeah. I was like, that's fine. I'll wait.
Yeah.
And it's just like, bip, bip, bip. He's like, that's all right. I got my lemonade. He like takes a sip
Loading
of his lemonade.
screen.
With the loading screen. He's just like, I'm still here. I'm waiting.
You know what it's like? Have you seen the episode of Rick and Morty where Jerry's in the low processing power simulation?
No, I don't know.
Yes.
So the aliens kidnap Rick and Morty and put them in a simulation,
Okay.
but they accidentally kidnap Jerry, and so they don't want to waste processing power, so they put him in a 5% processing power simulation. So like there's only 3 people and they can say one thing, but he's too stupid to realize he's in a simulation.
Okay.
That's kind of what it's like. It's like, yes.
Eric July. That's what it is. Yeah. Thank you.
It's like, so you're on the left, right? Yes. And you like Biden? Yes. Okay. And you don't like Trump? Yes. Okay, I get it. You have one word, and that's the crux of your argument.
It's my favorite GIF.
Yeah, that's
The
a
yes
good one.
guy.
Yes, the yes guy.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
that's
great.
it's even better because after sitting there waiting for him, the dude on the phone finally comes back and goes, well, I'm going to have to concede this. You got me. He just starts laughing. Like, all right, I guess we're over.
Cool.
I
funny.
did an interview with this woman at during the Berkeley, like Battle for Berkeley.
Yeah.
And I was interviewing I was like filming stuff. And then she actually butted up in my business and started saying stuff. So I turned around and held my camera and started talking.
Yeah.
And then she was basically saying that if right-wingers show up to Berkeley, it's their fault if they get attacked because they should know better because people here don't like them.
Oh, gosh.
And I said, so let me try and just get this straight. These right-wingers who go to Berkeley should know better because there are violent leftists who will attack them. And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, so you think it's their fault for coming because they should know better? She goes, yeah. And I was like, kind of like if a woman is wearing a short skirt and a guy assaults her. And she goes, ooh. She didn't say that. She went, I can't remember exactly what she said because it's been a while, but I have the video up on my channel.
Oh, man.
And then,
Which one? I have to watch that.
Like just, but
White noise.
Yeah, just like a dial tone. And then and then after a few minutes, she walks back and goes, please delete that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And
you're
I was like,
oh, no.
No.
Oh,
I was
no.
like,
That's
you
too
walked up
juicy.
to me.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't walk up to you and I'm outside in public and I'm filming. You walk up to me, say stuff. That's good. I blurred her face though. Cause I'm not about trying to get people.
Yeah,
you know what
yeah.
I mean? Or
But
start something.
you are about calling out the hypocrisy that they...
Crazy.
Yep.
Dude, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
The Lone Marauder says, hey, Tim, I live in Northeast PA near Philly. BLM is planning on coming into our small town in droves. The cities aren't enough now. I was wondering if there was a way you could help us out, even if it's just reporting on this in a neutral position. I probably can't, man. I work 16-hour days. Depending on what happens, I can, talk about it, depending on what happens.
Yeah.
But, man, 16-hour days. I don't go on the ground anymore.
Yeah, you're crazy, dude.
But we're getting to that point where hopefully we have field reporters more and expansion is coming. But other than that, like we're leaving the area. So bye-bye. Let's see. Tyler says, can we please talk about the concentration camps in China? I don't know how else to bring more attention to this. Yes, we can.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I
Let's talk
wonder
about it, bro.
if there's something we can do. Like I tweeted about Mark Cuban because he's like, I don't get involved in domestic affairs with other countries. And I'm like, well, this is one you should.
Right.
Maybe that's something the left and the right would agree on. For real.
You would think.
Like, hey, man, look, you could think all the really nasty things in the world, but please sign this petition.
Right.
You know, and they're probably going to be like, yeah, okay. That's all. You know, a lot of my progressive friends don't even know what's happening.
Agreed.
I was talking to my friend the other day, and I'm like, I think Joe Biden's going to go in the bag for China, and I think Trump's going to oppose them, and I think that's the best we can get right now with this genocide. And she was like, what genocide?
Yeah, that's a shame.
And I'm not going to get mad. I'm going to be like, allow me to show you.
Yeah, let me show you.
And you know what she said? This can't be real. Is this happening right now? And I said, yes, it is. And it's been happening for a long time.
Yep.
So yeah, look up the Uyghur Muslims in China, man, and spread the word. Tweet about it. That should be our big issue for November.
Absolutely.
I'd like to see
I
Trump. I don't know if Trump's addressed it. He's addressed Hong Kong very strongly.
Yeah.
You know, but dude, China's a scary beast.
Yeah.
And it's really, this is another thing that scares me is like, I know Joe Biden either doesn't care about China or is in the bag for China. And I know Trump just loves saying that he hates China. And I'm saying hate somewhat, you know, hyperbolically. He's like very much like China. You know, he talks about how bad they are.
He doesn't hate them though. He actually, I mean, there's still trade happening between our countries, but we're selling them stuff now. We're getting money back.
We need to sanction them harder than we sanctioned anybody, and we need every other country.
And
he
is bringing the sanctions down.
Yes,
you know about
especially Hong Kong.
Josh Hawley. He's a U.S. senator.
Yep.
So he's proposing a bill that basically any major corporation, if you don't know about this, if they make over a certain amount of money per year, they have to prove that they're not using slave labor.
Yeah.
And it's like Nike, Apple, even the NBA.
Well, a lot of these companies claim they don't anymore.
But they have to prove it.
Right.
They have to prove it because we're seeing that it still exists. It's happening right now still. So
I'm pretty sure slavery never ended in Africa.
I'm pretty sure it didn't.
Yeah.
It's still right now. It's still
well,
happening
right
now.
Was there like a break at a certain point or something? 'Cause it's going on now for sure.
Well, I mean, everyone likes to say that we're the country that.
That's just, you know. Listen, this is why I feel like the left is not it's literally it's the Blob. You ever see the movie The Blob?
Yeah.
How it just like consumes and grows and destroys.
Mm-hmm.
That's all they're doing.
Yep.
You're right.
It's fire. It's fire burning down the structure of this country, and it's spreading.
Yep.
And I think the Blob is a better analogy because it grows and
has no thoughts.
Purpose.
Just blobbing forward.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then you're running, and then it grabs you, and you're like, and you get sucked in, and then either you get canceled and spat out, or you become a part of the Blob.
Right.
Ooh.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the worst is the people who gladly say, you know what, it's better to join the Blob than get, shot out and killed. So they bow and get absorbed and become part of the Blob.
Ugh.
Sign all the documents and just say, whatever, just leave me alone. Yep.
Nope.
Restless Medic says, thank you, Tim, for saying Sumter correctly. It irrationally irritated me as a Southerner to hear you say it incorrectly. Did I just say it correctly now, Sumter? I think I was saying it wrong before, and then
It
I
sounded
read
like you've been saying it all the same.
Yeah, I thought that
But the
was
first
right.
video I said before, I was saying like Sumter.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
Like Sumter or something. I don't know.
With a P?
I don't know, because I was just like
Sumter.
slurring it, and I started enunciating properly. Let's see, where are we at? We got a bunch of super chats here. We'll jump forward. Simius the First says, Trump should put the onus on the governors, with him saying if they don't want us, then we should not be there, and withdraw from all courthouses in the states that don't want him. Let them burn, and he can pick up the pieces. I was thinking that at first, but look, there's documents, there's computers, there's equipment.
Right.
There's no way they can abandon that stuff.
Yeah, there's evidence. There's actual criminals that have been put into the system, rightly so. Not saying that there's some, like, sure, we have issues, but for the most part, there's criminals out there that have done crimes and have rightly been imprisoned. So federal courthouses is usually like the higher echelon of criminals that have to be tried in for federal crimes. It's like they're trying to bring down the federal courthouse. It's like, for that to be happening, like, we have to take everything out.
This is what we need to really stress, and you guys all watching this need to tell as many people as possible. When they say that Trump's federal goons are going to do their thing, you say they are trying to stop the rioters from destroying the courthouse.
Yep.
Which is multiple stories of documents, of computers, of court cases, of legal work for criminals at the federal level. We're not talking about some dude who stole some Wonder Bread, Ocasio-Cortez. We're talking about people who are like, I don't know, loading up vans full of people who are under the age of 18 and driving them around to exchange them for green pictures of dead presidents.
Right.
We're talking about the federal government going after traffickers and dealers and the worst of the worst, and forgers and whatever white collar stuff too, interstate theft. The point is, if they walk away from this courthouse and the far left goes in and destroys it, that's one of the support beams for the federal government's legal system framework being destroyed completely.
Yep.
The crazy thing is the left wants it and they're winning because the cultural institutions are controlled by them. So long as the media isn't informing people that they're going to destroy legal work to put criminals away, bad people, evil villains, then the media, the people are going to just agree with it. These criminals are going to get away with it. And I'm sure many of them are crossing their fingers, please, please. Oh, man. All excited, hoping that Antifa burns the place down because then they're going to get off scot-free. Yep. All the legal work gone. So that's the scariest thing to me about what we're seeing is the people just openly supporting the violence, not realizing. And of course, I agree. I'll say this. I think the federal officers should stay in the courthouse and just barricade it stronger than they've barricaded it yet. They've got all day to bring in a bunch of trucks and do literally drill bolts into the ground and fortify that thing beyond all recognition.
Yeah. And
then just chill inside and play a game of backgammon or whatever, roll the dice and move little doodads around. But we just saw the other day, they tore down the barricades they did put up. And according to Bellingcat, I say that because I didn't see the video, they tore down the doors, broke in, and attacked the federal agents in the building. So we're closer than we've ever been to something dangerous, man. I'll tell you that. Ian Hall says, super funny thought. The states that may want to leave the U.S. are the ones with the strictest gun laws. How will they fight back with any force? Because those states are extremely wealthy relative to many other states, and they have powerful national guards. And although they have strict gun laws for their citizenry, they have guns. And they have police, and they have, militarized police and SWAT. These bigger states like California, if they wanted to leave, they have big cities like LA. LA's got probably a massive police force. New York does. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, they've got resources. Let's see what we got. Let's move down. J-Mac says, I've started ignoring what Trump says and just reading the policies his administration is doing and pushing. I'm not a Republican, but I've been forced that label because of my position on free speech and my aversion to intersectionalism. I didn't vote for him in 2016, probably will come November. I hear you, man. That's what I hear a lot of people saying.
Yep.
Kyle Harmon says, the lefties pay attention to who is in charge. The right pays attention to the rules. S.J. Adam, I tweeted a video at you, The Wave. I think everybody should give it a watch in these times. YouTube it.
Okay.
Cool. Coley says, bottom line, they are lying, like Tim said. There's no occupying force. They are in the courthouse and don't leave unless they try to breach or start a fire. Been there several nights. It's anti-fascists. That's another really, really good point. Most of the time when you see the feds come out, it's because someone started a fire.
Yep.
And they're trying to stop the fire from burning down, probably because I think the barricades are made of wood. And so if they try to burn it, the feds come out and try and stop the fires.
Well, I mean, when I woke up this morning, there was videos of them ripping out the wood.
Yep.
That was basically barricading all the windows so that they couldn't just break the windows, but they were breaking the wood.
Then started going after the windows.
So it's like OBS. It's not like nice wood. It's cheaper, plywood. So it's like it doesn't.
They could probably burn it.
They could probably burn it. Yeah. So of course they're going to go out there and put the fires out because that fire is exactly what they need to stop because it'll burn the whole building down. It's crazy.
Ascendiate says, when does it become time to cut out the cancer? Being part of the union is a privilege. If a city, country, or state wants to dismantle America, they should be excised to make it on their own.
How do you say that to all the people that live in that state or even in Portland?
Greater Idaho, man.
That they've been living there their whole lives. They're maybe Republicans. Maybe they're not Democrats or Republicans and they don't agree with what's going on, but they live there. How do you reconcile that to them? So that's really the issue. It's like you can't just cut them out.
Yeah.
We're all Americans. We
got to get rid of this bad leadership.
It's a tough situation.
This is how Civil War starts because you have half the country. 65 million people voted for Hillary Clinton, dude. Yep. And Hillary Clinton was like, there's going to be a war. It's going to be great, And
right.
Trump was like, no, none of that. Not like Trump is perfect. But yet half the people support. We'll see how many people vote for Biden. If we can even actually get real numbers, I doubt it.
Right.
But I think it's fair to say there's a lot of people in this country who just hate Trump. And what do you do when they say, I don't accept your authority?
Well, they're already saying that. They've been
Right.
saying that. They've never accepted that he became president.
Here's a scenario. Trump wins.
Okay.
Easily. Everyone was right. The silent majority was legit.
Mm-hmm.
And then one by one, these states say, we are asserting sovereignty and rejecting the union. 100% out. And then they argue many of these states are surplus states that actually make money, though they've been not doing that lately. But they argue, hey, we're the ones with the money subsidizing you. That's what many of them have argued. And so California's like, bye-bye. We're the Republic of California now.
I don't know.
It's Trump, and then Trump sends in the army to
know.
quell insurrection.
I don't have the answers.
I want to make a very bold and extreme prediction for
goodness.
fun. For fun.
Sure.
Trump wins easily. Many states say, F you, we're out. We won't listen to you. They still claim to be part of America, but refuse to accept any of Trump's authority or jurisdiction. So he declares the Insurrection Act, removes governors. The federal government takes everything over from top down. Then we basically have a single federal structure government, no longer state and local government.
Yep.
Very, very extreme, kind of jokey half prediction that I think would be an interesting concept. Could also be that Trump sees the insurrection, from these states and just asserts Presidential Directive 51.
Check this out. This is from Uncle Juan. He says, I live 30 miles from Portland, and we have protesters who are not from our city showing up, people who are worried that we will get riots because our county opposes Kate Brown, and we are pro-cop, pro-Trump, pro-2A county. We will defend ourselves. So
Yeah.
I see that happening. That's what I've been talking about. As soon as, even the guy who super chatted earlier about North PA, it's like they're gonna start going outside of the cities where they can all band together, but then they're gonna be hitting up homes.
Yeah.
And we didn't actually get into that tweet from the Attorney General from Missouri, but for those who don't know, the Attorney General of Missouri basically went on a long thread on Twitter explaining how the couple from St. Louis, what are their names?
McCloskeys.
The McCloskeys were perfectly in the right, legally, from the law, and the fact of that the prosecutors are trying to say that they were doing anything illegal is going directly against the actual laws that they have in Missouri. They're trying to desensitize the rest of the community to not do what they were doing.
Right.
Just
chilling effect.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
So, and people just know your rights. Know your rights. The McCloskeys were in their right to defend their property.
It's not even a question. It's so insane.
There's no question about it at all.
I see these people on Facebook where they have no idea what they're talking about.
Correct.
And they post like, haha, they're getting charged. And I see all these, comments from people all shaking each other's hands and patting each other on the back like, man, it was so dumb of them thinking they could just wave guns around. That's so illegal. And not one person references, for one, the governor said he'd pardoned them. Two, Hawley said he wants a DOJ investigation.
Yep.
Now the AG is saying he's going to seek the dismissal of the charges. And it's a castle.
And an investigation.
Yeah.
And he explains why it's a castle doctrine state.
But none of this appears in these stupid meme posts from the left.
Exactly.
They have no idea what they're talking about.
Yeah, because they don't actually look into what is actually going on. They just see a meme and pass it along. Oh, yep, there it is. Pass it along. Keep passing it along. It's like, I'm so sick of the meme news. It's like, that is not...
Screenshots of tweets and Facebook posts.
Right, exactly. It's ridiculous.
Easy Now says, crimes against humanity cannot go unnoticed. Free Hong Kong. Free Falun Gong. We got a big old super chat here. QB Sacker says, I am worried that Durham will not get in his indictments in time. Will anyone go to jail for fake Russiagate? I don't believe the answer will be yes.
I'm spinning the UFO for you for that hefty super chat there.
Durham is going to get his report out soon, within the next month, I believe.
Yeah.
That's going to be huge. And this could change the game for the election for sure.
They really think that the president is an idiot. They think that. And they have no idea he's smart. Like he
I wouldn't go as far as say 4D chess like some of the more diehards say.
Sure.
But Trump has been successful, man.
He knows what he's doing.
He has a. I'll put it this way. I can't calculate every single move he's made and every statement he's made.
Right.
I will just say he has a tendency to be correct.
Yep.
That's all that matters. That means he will constantly be on the victorious side, which will allow him growth and success.
Yep.
It's how he became a billionaire. It's how he hosted these shows. I think it's funny when they're like, he's not really a billionaire. He's a personality, blah, blah, blah. He licenses names. I'm like, I don't care. Have you been able to craft the persona with big golden letters on top of buildings all around the world? Clearly he did something right. Well, he was born rich, sure. And then they simultaneously argue he was born rich, so it was easy for him. And they also say, yeah, but if he put his $1 million loan in like the S&P, he would have made more money.
Well, I mean,
I don't
He
care.
did go to college and has a degree in economics.
So does AOC.
Sure, but
Whatever.
But he took that, and sure, he has had his ups and downs in business.
Well, look, he said it best at that rally. I ran for public office one time and became president of the United States.
It's a good point.
It's funny. It's like the first time he tried, he became president.
Yep.
Yeah, but
well, I mean, he prepped for a long time. He toyed with
Right.
the idea back in 2000. So it wasn't like it was brand new, but
a lot of people like to play this stupid game, and people, they get their news from memes. Their news from memes.
Yes, they do.
They say that Donald Trump has had 5 bankruptcies. That proves it. I'm like, out of how many businesses? Hundreds?
Yeah,
So
hundreds.
you're saying he has like a 95% success rate? Wow.
That's pretty good.
Well,
That's crazy.
they also think that bankruptcy means like you have no more money.
Right.
And it's like, look up what bankruptcy means.
I was
before
talking-
we continue this conversation.
I was talking to a friend, and they were like, this was years ago. They were like, yeah, but how many bankruptcies has he had? And I said, do you know what a bankruptcy is?
Right.
And they're like, yeah, his business failed. He like lost all his money. I was like, no.
Yeah, that's not.
He basically got a court injunction to stop his debtors from taking his stuff, so he gets to keep everything and doesn't have to pay for it. I'm exaggerating a bit, but
Right.
it basically means that he's getting bankruptcy protection for his business.
Well, and that's not necessarily true either, because a couple of the times he actually had to give the banks his casinos, for example.
Yeah.
Like they took the casinos.
Yeah.
So it's like he doesn't necessarily get to keep everything,
Yeah.
but he still had like the 90s for him was basically a check in his business side of things, and even in the aughts, the early aughts, he was dealing with it.
Did you read that famous story, or whatever, where he told I can't remember which one of his sons? He pointed to a homeless guy and says that man has more money than me, because his liabilities were substantially higher than his assets.
No.
So his like net worth was very negative.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's like a famous story, I guess. Have you ever heard that?
I've not heard that one.
Yeah, it's
No.
like Trump apparently like pointed to a homeless guy and says that man has more money than me, and the point he was making was that he owes. You could owe $1 million and have $1 million, and have $100,000 in the bank, so your net worth is negative $900,000.
Right.
So a homeless guy with a buck in his pocket has a higher net worth than you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. Sporkwitch says Rochester, New York, 70 people shot between 1st of June and the 15th of July. Number still going up. Major highway around the city, I-490, shut down by BLM and Antifa yesterday. Liquor licenses being pulled. Mandate to serve food in order to serve drinks. BLM murals.
Cuomo chips.
Cuomo chips?
Yeah.
You heard about it?
No,
Oh,
what is
yeah.
this?
So because you can't serve drinks unless they're getting food
you get
too.
one chip?
It's $1 and they call them Cuomo chips. It's like a little tiny bin of chips. And it's like, oh no,
You get
it's
a
a
drink.
meal.
Yeah.
And now you can
It's
eat.
food.
Now you can.
Dude, this is
counts.
so crazy.
Yeah.
What is wrong with our country, man?
Man, they're really squeezing everything they can.
But it doesn't even make sense.
I know, and this is the craziest thing: is they're doing all this crazy stuff. It's all Trump's fault.
I know.
Every single thing, all of it,
Crazy.
every single bit of it.
Trump abrogated.
I know.
Abrogated.
They just wanted to use that word.
Yeah,
Let's be
seriously.
real.
For real.
The people that have been in government for 30, 40, 50 years
Our complaint with the guy's been for 3.
haven't been making any changes, haven't
Yep.
been making anything better. Their laws over the past 30, 40, 50 years have set us in motion to lead us here, and yet somehow it's his fault.
And
Magic.
people believe it.
I mean, he's turning it around, man. The more I look into him, the more I really believe what he's doing is best for us.
The scariest thing to me is that so long as the corporations empower the cult, like the NBA,
Yep.
then the cult will remain socially look, when you find someone who's in a cult, you got to remove them from the cultists so you can break that mind control.
Yep.
But when they're seeing everything on TV, obey, like, the movie They Live.
Daryl Davis, man. He the leader of the KKK. He met with him, and alone they met in a hotel room. He had to like kind of sneak him in and like not let him know that he was going to be there because he wasn't sure if he'd even show up.
And he had
But they had a long conversation.
guard the first time.
Ended up laughing.
That's not what I'm saying. Like,
But I mean,
imagine
it is an example of it actually happening in the past of what we need to do to have conversations with
but
people.
what I'm saying is every major television, every TV show, every commercial, every brand is screaming obey. You can't break someone out of the cult when they're like, I don't know, it sounds like what you're saying is right, and then they turn around and everything screams obey. They're
Well,
like, you must be wrong.
Not our show.
It's true, but even at the very least, there's probably going to be a lot of people who are like, I know you're right, but I'm scared of how many people are screaming obey at me, so I'll just obey. That's worrisome.
Well, that's what we've been seeing.
Yeah.
You know, but we're in this stage right now, like right where we're at is where people are like, are we really going to obey this? Are we really going to do this? And I feel like, you know, look at Red Bull, look at Goya. Goya's like, we love Trump. Thank you, Trump. And everyone's
Finally, that was
and
great.
everyone's like, whoa, boycott Goya. Come on, everyone. And then no one showed up to boycott Goya. What happened? People are
Boycott.
Yeah, now people are going and buying all the Goya stuff they can find because that's what people. That is the silent majority. That's them. What they do. They're like, I could buy Goya. I love Goya. Like, oh yeah.
Then we got to take
Goya.
then we got to take boycotts seriously.
We absolutely do,
I
and
think
we got to
it's-
see who they're boycotting, why they're boycotting, and then counter boycott.
I think
buy
it's
Goya.
Well, no, and don't buy anything China.
Absolutely.
100%.
Yes.
Don't buy,
Yes.
you want to put a factory in China. Not only are you empowering the genocide, the oppression of Hong Kong, you are also taking away good American jobs.
Absolutely.
That's why when Kanye said he was going to make his shoes here, I was like, good.
Awesome.
Heck yeah.
Maybe I'll actually buy some now.
We got a big old super chat here. Monies for catnip for the kitty 10.
Nice.
Right.
That's
The
a lot of
Tim Cat.
catnip.
Dark Matter says super chat attempt number 4. I tagged y'all on Parler about an interview done in 1984 with KGB Yuri Bezmenov. Is this a joke?
I think it's a joke.
Gotta be.
Must be a joke.
Gotta be a joke. Please.
Man, y'all make it hard to have your super chats read. I can't tell if we're being pranked or not.
Well,
I'm just
thank
gonna-
you for the super chat.
I know it's and,
Well,
and
we've seen this many times.
we've talked about it, I think like 3 or 4 times now where I think I get sent the Yuri Bezmenov video like 50 times a day,
Yeah,
just like, and we just have to filter them all out and throw them in the trash.
I know.
It's like an old. Imagine if someone was like, "Have you heard about the Civil War?"
Maybe we should just do a full like subject on it.
I'm gonna put
Why
it.
not?
I'm gonna put a little graphic of Yuri Bezmenov in the corner, and it's gonna be
gonna be
him
a
going like
counter.
this, and it's gonna say, "We've seen the video."
It should be a counter of the times people have told us to watch it.
Yeah.
I like that.
And whenever Yuri Bezmenov appears in the chat, it counts up. Ding,
Yes.
ding, ding.
You know what? But we got to say though, it's good that this many people are aware of what he was
I'm
saying.
glad. Yeah.
That's a good point.
But we've definitely.
It's a good point.
Yeah. It's an old video, man.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. Hobie Folse says, the Boogaloo movement is the silent majority making ourselves known through meme culture, and many people actually showing up in, Hawaiian shirts
And buying Goya
and buying
and
Goya.
Red Bull because
Ooh, yeah.
they just
sounds like a
got
party.
attacked
Yeah,
for
they got
for trying to get woke, and those few
know what I'm
people
doing?
got broke.
I am going to order a bunch of Red Bull right now.
Yes, thank you. I'm so excited. I
for
love
you,
Red
Tim.
Bull.
You got to support what you believe in.
You got to support.
Have you guys supported what you believe in by
Smashing that like button.
boom?
Ooh,
little,
that's
little,
right.
little late.
Ah.
I was trying to get you. I get you.
Yeah, I guess I got to be in the mood to really get hyped about it. I don't know.
If you want to fight for what you believe in, then smash the like button, the subscribe button, the notification bell, and share the good word that is Timcast IRL.
I think that's the most important thing, sharing, because we are having critical conversations. You don't have to agree with us. A lot of people might not agree with us, but we are having the conversations about what is actually going on. A lot when we were talking about earlier about the mainstream media, just being a joke almost. I saw a couple of people going, "This is why we're here right now."
Yep.
So if you really feel like we're bringing you really good news, please share us. Let other people know about what we're doing here. And
I'll tell you what it's like, man.
Yeah.
When you turn on CNN and they're like lie, and you're like, what is going on?
Right.
And then I turn on there's other YouTubers, and I'm like, thank you. Like I saw that video
Yeah.
too. I'm not crazy.
Right.
It's refreshing.
Like, dude, when they say like Andy Ngo is a fascist and all that stuff, I'm like, you must be truly desperate, because the dude is laying, bare everything you're doing. He's showing the videos.
Yep.
It's
He's
a huge
working
problem
hard,
for them.
dude.
They're just trying to shut him down. That's why.
Yep.
They tried to do a mass report on him.
Of course.
the other
of course. I saw so a friend of mine posted about the federal stormtroopers.
Right.
And then I commented saying like, after on the 39th day, the feds finally moved in.
Yeah.
You like I was like, I'm not saying you can be on anybody's side. You can support them. I'm just letting you know the feds didn't just come out randomly. And then someone else posted about an Andy Ngo footage video showing people trying to like break the door down with welding tools or something. And they said, what do you think about this? Apparently this person couldn't get it to load, and other people said, don't read it. Andy Ngo's lying. He's a fascist. It's all fake.
Of course.
They have to say it.
They have to. Because
Otherwise,
it's
people
showing,
see the truth,
it's
man.
showing the truth. Yep.
All right, let's see. We got one more.
Yeah.
Caleb Warden says, theory here. What's going to stop this SJW BLM influence to not only influence companies, but our food or sports stores to not take customers' money if we don't donate $1 to these movements when we pay for our food? Wait, I'm confused. What does that mean? What's going to stop it is if we don't give them money?
I think he's talking about like a post hoc tax that a store levies if you don't give to their social justice causes.
Oh, but that would mean like they do something.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's what I came up with.
Well, someone says you could do a Yuri Bezmenov.
That's what I said.
That'd
Yeah.
be fun, yeah.
Yeah.
We should just do it. Let's
Like a
just
watch
talk
party,
about it.
drink a beer.
Well, no, I mean, we
Andy
could,
Ngo
we
is
could
a
just,
patriot. Andy Ngo is a hero.
That is correct.
Dude, I remember
people
when...
know. People know.
Dude, he
Our
worked hard.
a lot of our watchers, they're aware. They know.
Yeah.
They know.
Well, so
They
here,
get down.
listen. There's two big important things right now that I'm going to say this with complete sincerity. If we are just preaching to the choir, and this may be the silent majority watching our show every night, like yay, and it's only 40,000, concurrent people,
Okay.
then you absolutely need to,
Smash the like button.
smash the like button, engage with the content, really watch it, watch our videos when we post them and all that stuff. But seriously, share it. We're never going to put out this insane marketing budget that CNN does.
Nope.
Fox News, and I think Tucker's great. I think Hannity's okay. I'm not a big fan. I think Fox has done, some of their reporting's actually
They're
been
hit and miss.
Yeah, a little sour, especially on their polls.
Tucker's really pushing them, and they no wonder they're trying
He's
to
an
bring
anchor.
they're trying to bring him down.
Yeah,
Totally.
he's a star.
And because he's speaking out, he's being bold and saying what he believes, and it's refreshing.
But look, we really are at the whims of if YouTube decides that they can show us. And if at any point they say no, that's it.
Yep.
And how much you want to bet with the things we're saying, that how much time do we have left?
I don't know, but I'm not gonna change what I'm saying.
Of course not. And so
I know you're not either.
I wonder if it's already too late for them and we're good because we're 3 months out. Certainly they can't do anything now. We're talking about it.
Yeah.
And it exists. So the most important thing is, while CNN has hundreds of millions of dollars, we are just hoping that people share the video, hit the like button, subscribe, and tell people you've got to watch this stuff. And maybe it's not even us. Maybe it's someone else you think does a better job. Maybe it's the Dark Horse podcast with Brett Weinstein, who does a great job. Maybe it's Jordan Peterson or
Sargon.
Or Rogan.
Sargon or Joe Rogan.
Rogan, yeah.
But these are the kinds of things that you need to be making sure that you are sharing. And also my best advice to everybody is, if somebody wants to engage with you with anger, you cannot return with anger. Number one thing.
Absolutely.
If you want to share something, make sure you share it with calm, you're in a calm demeanor, in an enthusiastic, polite, and confident. And if someone attacks you and says fascist and all that stuff, just be nice. And you know what I say to people when they try and attack me this way? I'll be like, I don't understand why you're being so mean. And that works for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Like, look, I'm not trying to fight or be angry at you. You know, like, please don't be mean to me. And then some people are just nasty and they'll start laughing and they don't care. But some people might be like, well, I'm not trying to be mean. And it's like, all right, well, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
And that's the first step, man. Even if they say, I don't want to watch Timcast IRL, F that guy. Hey, man, right on. Well, let's have a conversation.
Well, just tell him that the co-host is really awesome.
Yeah, say
Oh, that's
Adam's
right.
better. You'll like him more. Yeah.
There you go.
All right, everybody. If you haven't already smashed the like button, I'm not going to say it for the 50 billionth time, but you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Parler at Timcast. You can follow at Adam Krigler in the same places and at Sour Patch Lids on Twitter and Parler.
Yep.
We will be back tomorrow at 8 p.m. live with clips up throughout the day from today's show. You can catch them. We're also on every podcast platform. But thank you all so much for hanging out tonight, and we will see you all again tomorrow night.
Bye, guys.